There's one man who refuses to follow the script.
We have rules here, you know that. And if you don't follow the rules, then what are we?
One man stands tall in the face of adversity.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
A man who rises above the ashes of hot takes.
What do you care what they say?
Easy for you to say they all love you.
It's just noise, man. You're really good at it. You might be great.
That man is Nick Kostos. And this is You Better You Bet.
If loving sports is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Where narratives are challenged and the truth is spoken.
I told you what was going to happen last week. If you didn't listen, that's on you.
This isn't talk, it's perspective.
It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry, wonderful Sports Wednesday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. And on this Wednesday morning, the world of sports, pulsating. Too much? Too early? We're going to get to all the big stories today, including the new unbreakable record in sports and why we are really stupid as a society. And I promise I'm going to make that make sense. We'll do that next hour coming up here on You Better You Bet. I am also going to tell everybody why the 2026 college basketball season could be very similar to 2008 and 2025. And I think people are going to be very unhappy with the reason why, but I think we have to confront the truth, the potential truth, here on this show. And when we talk about sports, college basketball talk coming up later this hour on You Better You Bet. And speaking of college basketball, oh baby, we've got 3 unbelievable guests today. And the first one will join us 20 minutes from now. ESPN college basketball analyst, the man himself, the great Jay Bilas. Jay Bilas will be on the call of Arizona and Texas Tech coming up on Saturday. You heard him and Dan Schulman on the call of Carolina Duke this past Saturday with Carolina winning at the buzzer. Jay Bilas joins us in 20 minutes talking all things college basketball. And among the questions that I will ask Jay Bilas, hey Jay, who do you like right now to win the national championship? Jay Bilas coming up 20 minutes from now. And in the Power Hour, the final hour of today's show, 2 tremendous guests. Greg Rosenthal of NFL Media, the host of NFL Daily, helping us put a bow on the 2025 NFL season, looking ahead to 2026. And Zach Harper of the Athletics NBA coverage and SiriusXM NBA radio. We got a lot of topics to hit with Zach Harper, including if Jason Tatum's going to come back for the Boston Celtics. Don't look now, but Jason Tatum practiced this week with the Celtics. Not the G League affiliate, the actual real Boston Celtics. 39 weeks since tearing his Achilles in the second-round playoff series against my New York Knicks. Zach Harper in the final hour of the show. And you know how we close the show. Every day in the Power Hour, in the final hour. Giving you our bets for tonight in the world of sports. Now, our excellent engineer here on You Better You Bet, the great Kenny Henderson. Kenny went 4-0 last night with his college basketball bets. How do I know that? Because he kept texting our You Better You Bet group chain last night telling us that he had a great night betting college basketball and then said it in the show chat right before we came on the air. So Kenny has not lost a bet this week through 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, betting college hoops. Kenny's got some bets loaded for tonight. After he had Miami and talked me out of Carolina. Thankfully, last night, I wanted to bet North Carolina. Miami upsets North Carolina, beats them by 9. A letdown spot for the Tar Heels. Tyler Morales has got some college basketball bets. We'll give you those at the end of the show. And how about me? 2-0 last night in college hoops. BYU coming all the way back to cover on the road at Baylor thanks to 36 points from A.J. DeBonsa. And Purdue, man, they really tried to take some years off our lives, blowing a 22-point lead in the second half against Nebraska. Game goes to overtime. Purdue does ultimately win and ultimately covers the spread, but could have made it a lot easier for us. So 2-0 last night in college hoops. Lost with the Knicks. Clippers barely get inside the number. Let's keep it rolling tonight. Couple college basketball plays from yours truly are on the way, including a bet on the side of the Florida-Georgia game tonight in the SEC. Keep the comments coming on YouTube. They've been amazing this week. YouTube.com/@TheKostos. Like and subscribe to the show there. And you can tweet me at TheKostos, TheKostos. And the tweet that I sent out before the show, how many games do you, our listeners and viewers, think the Las Vegas Raiders will win this year, year one, with Clint Kubiak as their head coach? Send them in. We'll read them throughout the show. And that is where we begin the Wednesday edition of You Better You Bet. And we begin it, Kenny Henderson, with pride and poise.
There was a path that was set out in front of me that I didn't realize I was heading to. But I knew that, when you're where your feet are every day, you're trying to bloom where planted. You're trying to be the best at your job, and good things tend to happen. So that's kind of been my journey, is just to try to be the best at my job that day.
Clint Kubiak, the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe the best 48 hours since Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. Wins Super Bowl 60 as the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, introduced as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. And, I think some people were a little concerned about Clint Kubiak's kind of gruff nature with the media and his kind of like personality. He's not like the most outgoing, gregarious type. And I don't mean that as an insult at all. People have different personality types. But how's that going to play as the head coach dealing with the media? And just my opinion of how Clint Kubiak did at his press conference yesterday, I thought he was really good. Like was he the most charismatic coach we've ever seen? Was he Rex Ryan at the press conference? No. But he didn't need to be. His dad, Gary, wasn't like that, and he won a Super Bowl in 2015 with the Denver Broncos. So I thought Clint Kubiak did just fine for himself. And I'm going to give you, coming out of the chute here on the Wednesday edition of the show, 3 big takes from Clint Kubiak's introductory press conference yesterday as the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. And Kubiak was asked about his relationship with Tom Brady, one of the minority owners of the Raiders, and obviously someone who is one of the front-facing members of the Las Vegas Raiders leadership group. And Kubiak talked about how intense Brady was in the interview process, and he loves talking football with Tom Brady. And Tom Brady gave Kubiak his cell phone number, and now Kubiak's going to call him off the hook. To be fair, you probably would too. It's Tom Brady's cell phone number. That's pretty awesome. And look, like interviewing with Tom Brady to be the head coach of a football team is pretty awesome. Like imagine you wanted to get into fashion and you interview with Ralph Lauren, right? Or you want to join a choir and you sit down with Pavarotti. Or maybe you have an audience with Johnny Sins for, talking football with Tom Brady. Pretty good. Now, at this press conference yesterday, Clint Kubiak announced as the new head coach of the Raiders. There were several people present that were there. How about former NFL MVP, my good friends, and I mean that sincerely, he was with us last week on set at Radio Row, Rich Gannon was there. Charles Woodson was there. 2-time Super Bowl champion quarterback Jim Plunkett was there. Marcus Allen running into the night was there. Howie Long was there. The great Mike Haynes was there. Do you know who wasn't there? Tom Brady. Not present at the Las Vegas Raiders press conference. Now, it's not like Tom Brady's, hitting the bong on his couch and he's lazy and he's not showing up. I'm sure he's got something going on. Maybe he's, I don't know, he's in Saudi Arabia, like having dinner with a prince. I don't know. Maybe he's filming a new television show, on a date with a 25-year-old influencer. I have no idea. Here's what I do know. If Tom Brady's going to be this front-facing member of the Las Vegas Raiders, you need to be there at the press conference. Just for optics, you have to be there. And the contrast that I will make here, and obviously they played against each other in a Super Bowl, and like no one's questioning that Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback ever. He obviously is. And he was great this past year on Fox. Like, he's great. He's the best. And he's way better than Matt Ryan as a quarterback. But let's be honest, like Raiders fans out there watching and listening, would you rather have someone like Matt Ryan running your team who is all in and totally committed and is not doing media anymore and is locked in on everything it takes to make the Atlanta Falcons great? Or would you rather have Tom Brady helicoptering in every once in a while to give his opinion? Like, I know this has been an omnipresent storyline with Brady owning the Raiders, being a part owner of the Raiders and making these decisions. Just that, if he's going to be this big of a thing and they're going to talk about him at the press conference, can Tom Brady be bothered to show up? Is that so much to ask for? Takeaway number 2. I want everybody to listen right now to what Clint Kubiak said about Raiders star defensive end Max Crosby.
We want him to be a part of our success going forward. There's no doubt about that. And he's one of the best players in the NFL. So that's a no-brainer to get to work with Max and to see him continue to have success with this organization.
Sure, he's right. Max Crosby is one of the best players in the NFL. But to quote the late, great George Young, former New York Giants general manager, and I've told this story before, embroiled in a contract dispute with then star linebacker Bradley Van Pelt in the 80s, George, and I'm paraphrasing, basically said, "We went 2-14 with you. We can go 2-14 without you." No one's saying Max Crosby's not a great player. He could go to the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. He is spectacular. Since he was drafted he's been with the Raiders so long they were in Oakland. That's how long he's been there. Regular season record for Max Crosby, 46-69 with the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's be clear about something. And I've said this for the last week. The Las Vegas Raiders are not close to competing. They're not close. The defense needs pieces on every level. The offensive line's terrible. Outside of Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty, the skill positions leave a ton to be desired. Maybe they'll take Fernando Mendoza first overall. If you are the Las Vegas Raiders, you have got to supercharge this son of a bitch. You got to rebuild this puppy. And I know you could say, well, you want to rebuild, you want to have Max Crosby on the field, or you could get more financial flexibility and multiple first-round picks to try and supercharge this rebuild. They're not close. They play in a division with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Justin Herbert and the Chargers, and the team that hosted the AFC Championship game this year, Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. I don't want anyone to confuse what I'm saying. Max Crosby's tremendous. And if he goes somewhere else, let's say like the Cowboys decide to trade, I don't know. I saw a rumor floated like maybe they would trade Pickett. Oh, who the hell knows? Like Max Crosby would go to another team and help that team win. There's no question. He's the type of difference-making player that could take a team that's close and put them over the hump. The Las Vegas Raiders are not close. They aren't. They're not close. And they need to do the right thing for themselves and for Max Crosby. Trade him to a contender, get them draft picks, and supercharge the rebuild. Period. I'd love for someone to construct a cogent argument to the contrary. And the final takeaway from the Clint Kubiak introductory press conference. He was asked about the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and he gives a typical coach speak answer, which we're not going to play for you because it's typical coach speak. Like, yeah, we're going to watch the film and we're going to figure out who the top overall pick is. Betting market seems to think it's Indiana's Fernando Mendoza. Minus 1,000 at BetMGM right now to be the first overall pick in the draft, which doesn't mean he's going to be. It's Wednesday, February 11th. We haven't even gotten to the combine yet. There is a lot of time in between now and the NFL draft. And I say that to now say this. We'll play at points during the show and leading up to the draft process sound from former NFL GM Mike Mayock, Greg Cosell from NFL Films. We'll have draft-related guests as we approach the draft on Mendoza. And it feels like people like Mendoza, but don't think his ceiling is like a Josh Allen ceiling. And not everyone has to be Josh Allen. Sam Darnold just won the Super Bowl, right? But that maybe his ceiling is Kirk Cousins. Okay. Here's what I'll tell everybody. And we have a lot of time until we get there. I was told off record by a couple people, and even like on record a little bit, you can tell that people aren't like super enthused by Mendoza. And maybe he wouldn't be the number 1 overall pick in a draft with better quarterback prospects. Just that, I think there are some concerns about him as a true, like, winning franchise quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying he can't get there. I think he's really good. I'm watching from my couch. We'll see what the draft experts and what the NFL has to say as we approach the first round of the NFL draft. But just something to think about here. Mendoza as a pro prospect, the Raiders being really far off. I think it's really, really fascinating to think about the Raiders, pride and poise, commitment to excellence, just win, baby. How close are they to actually winning? We're just getting rolling here on a Wednesday. On the other side, Jay Billis from ESPN talking college hoops on Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
ESPN courtesy of the call. I got to tell you, and you know because you've been listening and watching the show since the start of the college basketball season. I came on before the season started and said, I think this might be the best college basketball season of our lifetimes. So many good teams, so much parity at the top, so much absolute stud young NBA talent. Like this NBA draft, it could be one of the great NBA drafts we've ever seen. And now that we are in like early to mid-February, I can say confidently that the season has delivered. I can't wait for the next 6 weeks. And now that NFL's over, now everyone's really paying close attention, I think you are all going to be, for those of you that have not tuned in and been laser focused on it, I know you will be now as huge sports fans, you are going to absolutely love it. And joining us right now on this segment, sponsored by Progressive Insurance, save on commercial auto insurance from Progressive. Get a fast quote at progressivecommercial.com. The GOAT, the legend, the lead college basketball analyst for our friends at ESPN. Him and Dan Schulman were amazing on Saturday at North Carolina Duke. They'll be on the call this Saturday, Texas Tech, Arizona, as the Big 12, just an absolute juggernaut this season. On Twitter, at his name, at Jay Billis, the great Jay Billis. Jay, you're always generous with your time. Thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. How's it going?
It's going great. I hope it's going great for you, too. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on the show. And it is going great. And had great games last night in college basketball. Purdue and Nebraska goes to overtime. A.J. DeBonsa and BYU with the big comeback on the road at Baylor. Curious, Jay, before we get into the specifics, just your macro opinion of this season. Like, I'm buzzing about it every single day. So much to talk about every single day. Do you feel like this is kind of one of maybe the best college basketball seasons thus far to this point in your lifetime watching college hoops?
I don't know about my life. My lifetime's been a lot longer than your lifetime, so I don't know about that. And sometimes, when you're younger, you tend to romanticize things, especially looking in the rearview mirror. But it's been extraordinarily interesting and impressive. And I think the level of play, not just this year, but over the last few years, seems like it's taken a pretty big leap. And every year is different. Last year's really different from this year. I mean, I think at this time last year, most of us that were immersed in it kind of felt like there were 4 teams that had separated. Not that they were unbeatable or anything like that. Nobody's suggesting that, but that they were different. And they wound up being the 4 number 1 seeds. The 4 number 1 seeds went to the Final Four, but for only the second time since seeding began. The other time was 2008. And this year's different. I think maybe 2 teams have separated, Michigan and Arizona. Both have lost once. But what sets this year above, I don't want to say above, but what makes it unique or maybe a little bit special relative to some others is the overall quality and depth of the freshman class. Like there is it's not just the the top 3 players that we have seemingly every year that are vying for top picks in the draft or something like that, and have extraordinary talent. We got a class that's 20 deep in freshmen that are impact freshmen, impact players, and I agree with you. Like they're going to dominate the draft, and we have more special young players this year than in any year I can remember. Now that doesn't mean we haven't had great years of freshmen, but this one is different in my view.
It's unbelievable, and we see it on a night in, night out basis. And Jay, I was hoping that we would see it on Monday night with the presumptive number 1 overall pick in the draft, Darren Peterson from Kansas. And when he plays, he's electric. And I understand this is high praise, and I'm not saying he would ever get there, but he kind of looks like a young Kobe Bryant. I'm not trying to say he'll be like Kobe, just that he's really, really good. And I think, the betting markets at least think that he's a cut above the rest of the freshmen in this class as it concerns the NBA draft. And he doesn't play on Monday, and Kansas still beats Arizona, knocks Arizona from the ranks of the unbeaten. Just curious how you view this Peterson-Kansas saga moving forward, because it feels like without him, maybe they could make the Final Four. With him, they could probably win the national championship. Just, can you count on him to play? So Jay Billis's thought here on Kansas and Darren Peterson moving forward will be a massive story heading into the tournament.
Yeah, I think the word you use, curious, is the way I feel about it. Like, it's just a curious case where you have a player with extraordinary talent. And I agree with you. When he plays, you can't take your eyes off him. He's that good. The most effortless shot maker in the college game. And he's just an incredible talent. And he can deliver on that talent when he plays, but he hasn't been available to play full games very often. And when he gets a full game, like he did against Texas Tech and hit those big shots at the end for Kansas to win on the road in a really difficult environment, you tend to have this feeling of, God, how could I be denied this every game? And when he didn't play against Arizona, I didn't find out about it till like 20 minutes before the game. You have this feeling of loss, and it's a selfish feeling. I don't agree with some of my colleagues that are saying, well, this is going to affect his draft status. I mean, if you look back over the history of the draft, we've said that kind of thing before. It doesn't affect a damn thing. The NBA is going to draft the extraordinary talent, and so I'm not concerned about that. But I think it's been a difficult challenge for Kansas to deal with the in and out nature of his availability. But in an odd way, it may have kind of helped him. Other guys have had to step forward in his absence, and they've developed an identity without him. And now it seems like it's almost up to Darren Peterson to fit in with this Kansas team rather than his Kansas teammates having to fit in with him. And I think that was initially when he was playing early, there was a tendency kind of sometimes when he got the ball to stand there and watch him work. And I think they've learned to play at a high level without him. So I think that's made them an even more confident team.
If I could guarantee for you, Jay, that Darren Peterson plays the entire NCAA tournament, he's in there, he's playing 30, 35 plus minutes in the games, Kansas would go, like the final round Kansas would get to would be what and why from Jay Billis?
They're certainly a contender with him healthy and with them having the continuity of him playing throughout the course of the last month and a half. I would still favor teams like Arizona and Michigan on a neutral floor, even with Darren Peterson. They're deeper. But Kansas is really good. Like the strength of their team isn't their offense. The strength of their team is their defense. They can really guard. But, Michigan, Arizona, Duke, Florida, I think they're a little bit better on the defensive end, and Michigan a lot better on the defensive end. I tend to think like Arizona's problem in the game they played at Allen Fieldhouse wasn't their defense. It was offensively toward in the second half. They weren't able to get the shots they wanted, and I don't think they were as resolute as pounding the ball inside and getting into the lane. They settled for some jump shots, and they wound up getting clipped in that game. But, on a neutral floor, 7-game series, I wouldn't put Kansas with Michigan and Arizona. But look, in the year they won in 22 with Ochai Agbaji and Christian Brown and those guys, at this point in the year, I didn't include them in the 7 teams that I thought could win the whole thing. But they were trending toward getting in that group, and obviously they did get in that group, and they did win it. There's nothing stopping them from doing the same thing this year. There's no rule in the rule book that says teams aren't going to get better through February and through March, and even in the NCAA tournament, they still go to practice every day when they're in tournament play. So I think they're going to continue to get better.
Jay Billis here with us on the show. I'd love for you to delve a little bit more, Jay, into Michigan and Arizona, right? And I think you had even said earlier in this interview that those are the 2 teams that have really set themselves, and there are other great teams, right? But those are the 2 best, both taking 1 loss with Michigan and Arizona. You mentioned the depth of those teams maybe being a factor in setting them apart. But if I asked you to really tell us and our audience why those are the 2 best teams, Arizona and Michigan, you would say what and why?
So if you start with Michigan, they've got really good depth, really good size. They're really big and strong and have fiber along the front line. And Michigan's the best defensive team in the country. Teams are shooting like right around 42, 43% against Michigan inside the arc. And that includes like the occasional run out or a drive when they get a layup. And they're limiting teams to under 30% from three on the season. They got clipped at home against Wisconsin, where they gave up 91, which is kind of shocking to me. But they've got really good personnel. I think the transfer they got from UAB, Yaxel Lendeborg, last year only two players led their teams in scoring, rebounding, assists, steals, and blocks. It was Cooper Flagg at Duke, who's the number one pick in the draft and who's crushing it in the NBA right now, and Lendeborg. So they've got really good players and a great mix of youth and experience. But that size is meaningful. Like Ade Mara, who started his career at UCLA, he's like 7'3". He just covers up the lane. So their perimeter defenders can get out and guard without concern for letting their guy get by him on a drive or cut or whatever, because they've got size behind them that can really affect play. And for Arizona, Arizona's been a contender in past years, but I don't think they've been as complete a team as this one is. And I know we're talking about them coming off their only loss, but they've got good guards like Jaden Bradley and Braden Burries are excellent guards, and Burries is an outstanding shooter, just a freshman. And then their big guys are legit. Krivas is 7'2", and he must have blocked 5 or 6 shots against Kansas. Excellent. He had 15 rebounds. He's just an excellent big guy that's really improved his offensive game. And Bradley, who transferred in a couple years ago from Alabama, he came in not being able to shoot it, and he can shoot it now. He's not a 3-point specialist, but Arizona doesn't shoot a lot of threes. They're more of a high-low, get it inside, get to the free throw line team, but they are legit, and they're every bit the equal, in my view, of Michigan.
And missed a couple bunnies, obviously, on Monday night against Kansas that might have won them the game. To your point, Jay, offense more of the problem for Arizona on Monday night. I want to ask you about Duke, and I'm going to say something that I think our audience is going to think is nuts, because Duke being the national team that it is. I kind of feel like Duke might actually be a little under the radar, a little underrated at this point in the season. Like 2 losses, blew an 18-point lead against an awesome Texas Tech team, right? Probably should have won that game. Lose at the buzzer to Carolina. Carolina's awesome. I know last night's loss to Miami notwithstanding. Carolina's really good. Now, I know you said Arizona and Michigan, the top 2. It kind of feels like, to me, Duke might actually be underrated right now with Boozer and Evans, etc. Am I nuts for saying that? Your thought on Duke at this point on the calendar?
No, not nuts at all. I think that may very well be true. I think the strength of Duke's team is in its consistency. That while other teams, North Carolina included, can have some swings game to game in who they are. Like against Duke, they could have beat anybody that night. And then against Miami on the road, and I realized there are a lot of factors that go into that. 1, Miami's good. Number 2, they're coming off one of the most emotional games that they're going to have all year and in their careers. So human nature certainly factors into that. But that's a swing. And they've had those in other scenarios during the course of the year. Duke has been really consistent. And the one thing that oddly has impressed me about that team, they do have some, quite a few young players, whether freshmen or sophomores, that are kind of leading the way. They're really only a 7-man rotation. Darren Harris played a little bit more than normal, his average against Pittsburgh last night. But they've had some games where they didn't perform at a high level in the first half. And then, I don't want to say they flipped a switch, because I'm not sure I believe in that, but they were able to refocus and play their best in the second half. And that's not easy to do, and it's not the norm, especially for a young team. But their first 6, maybe in their first 7, are very good. And it's a team where Cameron Boozer has to carry a major load, and he has. I mean, I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, but we were talking about Boozer. I'm like, what's his worst game?
Right.
And we kind of looked at it. His worst game was like 14 points, 5 rebounds, and two assists. Or like for most freshmen, that'd be one of their better games. And he's the front runner for Player of the Year, and he's really a difficult challenge. And I think you're going to see teams are doubling him even more, and they're willing to take their chances with somebody else. They want to get it out of his hands.
Yeah, in a win against, I think that this is Northern Iowa maybe, on November 21st. He had 14-5-2 as Duke won by 58 in that game. So been a great season for Cam Boozer. Final question, Jay. I would love for you to give us a team that you think right now people are not talking about for whatever the reason that you think could make a run coming up in conference tournament play and into March.
There are a few that can make a run. It kind of depends on what you think a run means.
Say second weekend or beyond.
Well, second weekend, there are 30 teams that can get to the second weekend. 16 of them do. But I tend to think that a team like Nebraska, who's never won an NCAA tournament game in their program's history, they're legit. And, they played poorly in the first half against Purdue last night and still had not only a legit chance to win, you could argue they should have won in that overtime. And that was just, I think, their third loss. And I was actually more impressed by Nebraska in their first loss of the season when they lost to Michigan. They've got a player named Rink Mast, who is a big guy that can shoot it from three. He's their best passer and best playmaker, especially in the middle of the floor. And they run beautiful offense. Like they're passing, they're cutting, they're really difficult to guard. And Purdue had a heck of a time doing it, even when they had a 20-point lead. That thing evaporated, and all of a sudden they had to pull something out. I mean, if Purdue hit their free throws in regulation, they would have won in regulation. But another team I would say is St. Louis that may be off of people's radar. They're coached by a guy named Josh Schertz, who was at Indiana State before he came to St. Louis last year. And talk about an offensive genius. Like he's a savant. And, St. Louis has only lost one game. They're in the Atlantic 10. They can really shoot it. Another team that's really difficult, like their offense, I don't want to call it intricate, but it's difficult for defenses to figure out. And they hunt great shots. Like they're not looking for good shots. They're hunting great ones, and they get them. So St. Louis is one of those teams that in your bracket, I would take I don't even think it's a flyer because they're gonna unless they wind up playing a Michigan or Arizona in the second round, they're gonna beat somebody.
Our engineer Jay on the show, Kenny Henderson is his name, is a college basketball and sports super fan. In the chat just now, before you answered the question, he wrote, "St. Louis is sneaky. Watch out for them." Do you think Kenny Henderson knows ball? Our engineer here on You Better You Bet.
When you mentioned what Kenny said, I'm starting to rethink my position on St. Louis. So maybe I should pick another team.
What's the best thing you ate at your Super Bowl party to close?
My wife got these ridiculous quesadillas from a place near where we live called Reed's. So she was taking credit for making them, and I tried to remind her that heating them up is not does not. She was like the wife in Talladega Nights, laying out the Taco Bell and the Domino's and everything, saying she slaved over that dinner.
Can I got you just like a quesadilla thought? I have like a really strong quesadilla opinion. I want a cheese quesadilla like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone, a whole cheese pizza just for me. I want a cheese quesadilla, sour cream, guac, a little pico de gallo, and I am in heaven. How does Jay Billis like his quesadilla?
I like more in it than that. This place Reed's puts like it's a chicken quesadilla, and it's got like black beans and some other things actually inside it, and then I guac it up, and then my wife she makes homemade salsa that if she bottled that stuff, I would not have to work anymore. So that's the way. But I have an odd thing, like I only eat cheese when it's melted. I don't care for the taste of cheese when it's not melted. And so quesadillas are fine with me, but if she put the equivalent cheese out and put a gun to my head and said, eat this cheese, I wouldn't. I'd just say, pull the trigger. I'm not interested.
So if I gave you like a hunk of like Parmesan cheese, like you would not be interested in taking a bite of it?
No way. No way. And it's got everything, every bit of cheese I have has to be, relatively mild stuff. If if it's not melted and it's not relatively mild, I'm out. And I realize that puts me in a, there are groups out there, like people like, you don't like cheese, and they try to talk me out of something I don't care for. And I'm like, why do you care whether I eat it or not? That's more for you if I don't eat it. But there are groups out there, I found out, of people who don't like cheese. They're like support groups on how to handle it. And I haven't joined one yet, but I'm getting close.
So I'm guessing the fact that you're aware of their existence means they've reached out to you. Is that fair to say?
No, what happened was my nephews gave me such a hard time about not liking cheese. Like they were trying, well, try this. Like,
so are you the only one in your family that feels this way? Are you the only one in your family that feels this way?
Yes, I have family members that they can't believe it just because they love it. And my thing is like, look, if you don't like Brussels sprouts or something, and I happen to like them, like I'm not banging on you to like something. Like, why do you care whether I don't like something? I turned into Larry David all of a sudden, when his wife was upset at him that he drinks tea when she's having coffee. And she's like, and why do you care what's in my cup? Like, I have a cup, there's steam coming out of it. Why do you care what's in it? That's sort of the way I feel. Just
don't leave that cup on the wooden table, because it'll leave a ring, and that's going to cause problems. Jay, obviously a big Curb Your Enthusiasm fan. Jay, you're the best. You're very generous with your time. We love talking college hoops on the show, and we love talking college hoops, my friend, with you. Even if you don't like cheese, nobody's perfect. We can't wait to watch you and Dan on the call coming up on Saturday of Arizona, Texas Tech. Safe travels, and we hope to catch up with you again.
Look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Jay Bill is joining us here on You Better You Bet. I think the reason why people care about stuff like that is because, like, objectively, like, cheese is great. And, like, it's cool that he doesn't like, there's stuff that I don't like. Bill Zimmerman doesn't like coffee. Like, that's terrible. Here's what it is, really. Kenny doesn't like, man, we got issues on the show. Kenny doesn't like coffee either. Like, here's the thing, right? A nice cup of coffee is one of life's great pleasures. Now, I'm Greek and Italian. It's like, I love cheese, right? So you give me like a hunk of Parmesan, I'm taking a bite out of that son of a bitch. And I'm absolutely loving my life. And I want people to enjoy it the way that I enjoy it. Honestly, this is like the last 10 seconds of what I just said on this show. This is like 98% of the arguments I get into with my wife are because of this feeling I have that I like something, therefore, you know what? He's right. Who cares? Like, just because I like something doesn't mean someone else has to like it. Speaking of things I don't like, I was going to say I've kind of worked myself into a mental pretzel. I don't really like pretzels. There are people that are like obsessed with pretzels. It's like sawdust with salt. Like, now I'm Seinfeld. What's the deal with pretzels? I don't get it. We'll take a quick break, and on the other side, we're talking more college basketball. And I disagree. Well, this is not a great way to start a sentence. I disagree with something Jay Billis said about college basketball. Cheese, I feel like I'm in the right. College basketball, more likely to be in the wrong. I'll try to convince you of my opinion next.
I'll start with Carolina. I can move them up to the highest number 5 seed on the big board. You might say that's it. They're not number 4. They're not number 3 seed. No, they don't have the overall resume yet to get quite there. Number 24, the net. Nothing to scoff at there. And again, that is more of a sorting tool, not a be-all, end-all as an individual measurement. They played a borderline top 50 overall strength of schedule, though number 91 in non-conference strength of schedule. 5-4 on the road. Okay, not terrible. 3-3 in quarter one. Not terrible, but also not great. The biggest issue for Carolina, and, kudos to them, massive win at home. Dean Dome was rocking, stormed the courts, Trimble's 3 at the buzzer, up and good. First time you had a buzzer beater in that series in like 2 decades. Just tremendous, to watch that must-see TV moment, to say the least. But, they're excellent offensively. They stink right now defensively. And they did clamp down late in that game, but they're number 262 in EFGD over the last 30 days. They have got to tighten up in that capacity, or it could be an early exit in the NCAA tournament, no matter where they land, whether it's on the 5 line or a little bit higher, but still a winner for the weekend. And Florida, too. Florida had arguably the most impressive win on the road against a Texas A&M team. I got projected as the number 7 seed right now. One that was really playing white-hot basketball there in the SEC, a major surprise. Florida goes in and just clobbers them. They win by 20. They've been number 2 team in Bar Torvik and overall effectiveness here last 30 days. They're a team that has the best front court in the country, in Chindilu and Condon and Thomas Hawk. They're getting better guard play now from Boogie Flan. Your boy fired off on a ticket over the weekend for Florida to win the national title at 16-1. That's how I'm impressed with this Florida Gators team. They have a chance to repeat. So Florida right now on the 3 seed line, teetering on the 4 seed line. And I think they're going to wind up come Selection Sunday, maybe as high as a number 2 seed. I think ultimately they're going to be a number 3. And man, you do not want to draw them. If they are on the 3 line and you're a 1 or a 2 in that region, watch out. The Gators could be chopping down once again and reaching the mecca of college basketball in the Final Four this year at Indy.
Back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
I love that interview with Jay Billis. Greg Rosenthal still to come, NFL Media. Zach Harper still to come from our friends at The Athletic and Sirius XM NBA Radio. I actually was thinking during the break just now, that is a wild food take from our friend Jay Billis, that he only eats cheese if it's melted. And look, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Just because Jay Billis doesn't like cheese doesn't mean that he's wrong. It's just his opinion. Now, I happen to disagree with it, but he's welcome to his own opinion. Bill Zimmerman, our executive producer, does not like coffee. Bill, is that your worst food take, or do you have another?
I think overall consensus-wise, it's probably my worst food take. Black olives, I don't know if this is a bad food take. It gives me a physical reaction. I literally can't eat them. It's going to make me sick to my stomach. I don't know what's going on there. But in terms of
talking when you say black olives, do you mean black olives that you find on nachos or in a salad? Yeah. Is that's the type. Exactly. Yeah, I actually don't disagree with that. I love whole olives. I think are really. I'm Greek. I have to. I don't disagree with the black olive thing though. I think people agree with that actually.
But here's the thing, I want to drink coffee. I could use a caffeine pick-me-up. Nick, you saw me walking around Radio Row drinking a Coke Zero at 6 in the morning. It's terrible, but I don't usually need caffeine in the morning.
You're going to drop dead, dude. I've never seen someone drink more soda than you do.
It was just in the morning. I didn't drink soda at other points during the day. But that's the thing. Like, I don't have a way to like inject caffeine into my veins. I wish I liked coffee. I just don't.
Have you ever tried iced coffee?
I do like chai tea. Like that. I know that's caffeinated. That's about the only thing. I have tried iced coffee. It's that mocha flavor. For some reason, it doesn't jive with me.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like I just like Bill like strutting around Radio Row in his suit at 3:30 in the morning local time, chugging Pepsi is crazy. Tyler Morales, your worst food take is what? You've got a lot.
Yeah, this might be kind of unhinged. I don't eat cereal with milk, so like I'll literally pour cereal in a bowl, take a spoon, and just like eat the cereal. No milk, to eat it dry.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, that's kind of unhinged, but that gets a lot of reactions out of people. So I don't drink milk like at all. So if I want cereal, it's just straight cereal out of a bowl with a spoon.
We'll do this a little bit to start next hour. I want to get Kenny's opinion. We'll get the crew's opinion. I want to know our listeners and viewers, your worst food take. YouTube.com/@thekostos. I just put a tweet out there at the Kostos as well, asking your worst food take. So here's a milk opinion for everybody. So I've never been the type of person like to pour myself a glass of milk, right? I feel like that's reserved for like geriatrics, like or cats. Since my daughter was born, obviously, like we make her a bottle. Like when she was younger, it was like multiple times a day. Now it's like once a day at night. I'll tell you what, man. Underrated pleasure of life. I'm not joking. My suggestion to everybody today: pour yourself a glass of like ice cold whole milk and thank me later. Hour 1 done, hour 2 for you. Coming up on the other side, bad food takes, college hoops, National Football League, a variety show here on a Wednesday.
I think Vanderbilt, you got to look at first and foremost. A team that is hitting the skids a little bit right now. They have lost now 4 of their last 7 games. They lost Oklahoma. They were getting absolutely killed in that game. They made almost an incredible historic comeback as the Sooners nearly choked it in the final 2 minutes of the game. But Oklahoma still escaped with a 1-point win, 92-91 inside Memorial Coliseum. You know, Vandy was the feel-good kind of surprise story. Mark Bennington's done an excellent job there. But they're right now number 14 net, nothing, to scoff at there. 6-3 in quarter 1, 5-2 on the road. But they're only number 33 in Barts over the last 30 days. They're 183 EFG offense, 213 EFG defense. They're a smaller team, They're struggling through some health issues right now. It's going to be a tough road. They got to go at Auburn coming up tomorrow night. So we'll see what version of the Commodores that we get. And BYU is the other team. They lose to Houston, and they lose convincingly by double figures. Credit to Houston, very tough team to play, but BYU is certainly regressed. They're only number 49 in Toric the last 30 days, and even worse defensively. I remember, talking about the ills of the Carolina Tar Heels. Well, BYU's 317 in the country in effective field goal percentage defense over the last 8 days. As good as DeBonce is, Richie Saunders is, Kibaka's got to step up his game in the interior. They're getting crushed inside. They're not getting out and challenging shots effectively outside. BYU looking like a 6 seed, and that might be generous come Selection Sunday. They're trending very much in the wrong direction.
Biggest names in the business are on You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening as you do every day to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports, brought to you by BetMGM.
The wonderful Sports Wednesday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our crew, and you on the aforementioned Westwood One Sports. What a first hour of the show. Broke down Clint Kubiak's introductory press conference with the Las Vegas Raiders. Why I think Tom Brady's got to start showing up. I didn't like that Tom Brady wasn't there. Why the Raiders need to trade Max Crosby, even while acknowledging Max Crosby's great. And what are the Raiders going to do at first overall? And is Fernando Mendoza the lock that everybody seems to think he is? We're going to find out in the coming months. All very interesting. And then the interview with Jay Billis was awesome. Snuck in there that he thinks Nebraska and St. Louis, even with Nebraska with the loss last night to Purdue, that Nebraska and St. Louis could be primed for big NCAA tournament runs, and then dropped a stunner on all of us that he hates cheese unless it's melted. A truly unhinged food take from Jay Billis. We have a couple food takes rolling in. We'll get Kenny Henderson's opinion in a second as well, but we got to tell you about our show sponsor, BetMGM, because no matter the matchup, betting with boosted odds makes every basket mean more. Activate your odds boost token for any college basketball bet, and you'll receive a bigger payout if that bet wins. Get set for tip-off with BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today. Our friend Kenny Henderson, our excellent engineer, is with us. Kenny, what is your unhinged food take?
Well, I already typed in the chat that I don't like coffee, so I'll give you another one. I think if you eat cheese pizza or only put one topping on your pizza, you're still a child. I think a pizza needs to have at least 2, 3. I'm okay with 4 or 5. Like, I like mixing it up a little bit. I like mushrooms. I'm a pineapple on pizza type of guy. There's really not, like, I'm not not a big anchovies guy, but like I guess I'll eat a pizza with. I'd rather eat a pizza with anchovies on it than just a cheese pizza. So if you eat cheese pizza and you're an adult, I'm sorry, you're not.
Yeah, well, I would say you're not from New York because a plain slice of New York cheese pizza is magnificent. You're from Chicago where the pizza's not as good as it is in New York. I just need to say that. I am a pineapple on pizza guy also, but it has to have something spicy also, like some kind of like spicy meat, like a pepperoni, jalapenos. I think I can't just be. It can't just be pineapple. I would generally agree with you. The toppings on pizza are great, but Kenny, have you ever had like a good slice of New York pizza?
Well, I've never been to New York, so I would say the answer to that would be no.
Where have you been?
I was born in California, so I've been on the West Coast a lot. California, of course, I live in Chicago, so out here in Chicago, around the Midwest area, a little bit in the South. I've been to Florida. Just haven't been anywhere up Northeast.
Have you ever left the country?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
Turks and Caicos, which is...
Okay. If you could go anywhere, where would you go?
Oof. Probably somewhere in Europe. I don't know exactly, though. Not a big vacation guy.
Why?
I don't know. It's a good question. I haven't really gotten to that stage in my life yet. So my families didn't go on a lot of vacations growing up, so just not a huge vacation guy.
Would you like to, at some point, rectify that opinion that you have, not being a big vacation guy?
Yeah, I mean, at some point, if I, have the money to go on vacation, and yeah, sure, I will. But
we got to, Kenny, you stick with us here on You Better You Bet. We're going to try and get the supercharge for you, buddy. Like that's we got to get Kenny on vacation. We'll hear from Kenny a little bit later in the show with Kenny's Corner. Thank you very much, Kenny. That made me kind of sad, Kenny. We got to like send you to Miami for a couple days or something. Like that's got to happen. Like Kenny Henderson takes Miami. Okay, got a bunch of comments rolling in here. How about our friend? So here, I want to refresh my Twitter. Well, I mean, this is a terrible take. I almost want to. I kind of think we should call her and get her opinion on this, but I don't know. Our friend Ariel Epstein, who was on with us last week, along with Kelly Stewart, Kelly in Vegas at Radio Row in San Francisco. Ariel is the prop queen, does great work for our friends at The Ringer. Ariel tweeted me that peanut butter sucks. I would like to tweet, I like Ariel a lot. I would like to tweet her and tell her, no, you suck. Peanut butter is magnificent. Like, all nut butters are good. I think they're all pretty good. Almond butter. Cashew butter. Sunflower butter. Like, they're all delicious. Now, I'm kind of sick. And here's a true story for everybody. So when I lived on my own in Florida, I lived in South Florida for 3 years, I'm a big, I don't keep junk food, especially when I was smoking a lot of pot. I would not keep, as I have a kid now, and I do national rant. It's like, if I smoke pot all the time, I'm going to lose my train of thought. I can't do it. But back when I was smoking pot, heavy in them pot streets, I used to not have, when I would go to the supermarket, I would not buy any junk food because I knew if I had it in the house when I got stoned, I would eat it. But I would always get myself peanut butter, right? Is it sick? It's like I can eat, maybe not like a whole jar, but I can eat like a lot straight just with a spoon in a jar of peanut butter and like really, really, really enjoy myself. I don't kind of get the peanut butter thing. I would actually, okay, so not liking cheese is worse than not liking peanut butter, I think. It's a terrible take from our friend Ariel Epstein, but man, like peanut butter is bad. Okay, what else we got here? Let's see, open up the old Twitter. We have this from, Baltimore Al. He likes peaches, but loathes anything peach flavored. I don't really understand what that means, but thank you very much to Baltimore Al for the tweet. His name is Al, and he is from Baltimore. Our buddy Bill, we may have to call Ryan Glasspiegel. In fact, I think we should call Ryan Glasspiegel. Bill, do you have Ryan's number? Ryan works for our friends at Front Office Sports, like sports media critic for them. Bill is going to check. Ryan just tweeted me at Sports Report on Twitter. Nothing from oceans, lakes, or rivers besides processed tuna. So Ryan is a child. Ryan does not eat seafood. Man, I guess it takes all types, right? All types with the bad food takes. YouTube.com/@thekostos. You can tweet me at the Kostos as well. At some point, maybe before we die, we'll take phone calls on the show. I don't know. 310-840-4910. 310-840-4910. Until then, got some college basketball opinions for everybody. And I teased this at the end of the hour by saying I actually disagree with something Jay Billis said about college basketball. Now, food, I feel like I think I'm enough of an expert, we all are, because we eat all the time, to give an opinion on food. College basketball, Jay is definitely a bigger expert than yours truly. Nick Kostos, you better you bet, Westwood One Sports on this Wednesday morning. So at the start of the show, if you are a savvy college basketball fan, I think you know what I was referring to when I opened the show by saying, I'm kind of thinking, and I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet. And probably won't. And let's see how it is when we get there. But it feels like to me, there are 4 teams in college basketball that have kind of set themselves apart from the rest of the pack. Now, Jay said it's 2, with Arizona and Michigan. Arizona and Michigan both with 1 loss. Michigan, losing to Wisconsin in Big Ten Conference play, and Arizona losing on Monday night on the road at the Phog to Kansas. I think you could put Duke and Houston on that list as well. Jay even kind of said it, and this will sound nuts to you or our audience if you're just like parachuting in now to college basketball season, right? Totally okay. You're probably locked really into football, and now you start paying attention. Duke is really, really good. Really good. And like not better than last year's team, which was one of the best college basketball teams ever and somehow didn't even make the national championship game, much to our collective chagrin as people that bet money on college basketball. Duke might have a better chance to win this year's title than they did last year. And obviously they didn't win last year. But man, they can absolutely win this year. Cam Boozer's ridiculous. Evans is a sharpshooter. Duke has 2 losses this year, blowing an 18-point lead to Texas Tech, who is a magnificent team. Texas Tech's great. And then lost on a buzzer beater, trailed for 0 seconds the entire game. Literally only trailed when North Carolina hit the 3-pointer to win the game. That was it. Duke's awesome. We had John Fanta on the show a couple weeks ago from NBC, stud college basketball analyst and host. He picked Houston to win the national title. And I was kind of like, really? I guess I'm still a little scarred by the national championship game. When Houston didn't get a shot at the end of the game. Pretty bad. Houston has a player this year that I think could be the difference. Kingston Flemings, who is going to be maybe a top 5 pick in the NBA. Think about what Jay Billis said. Think about what I've been saying, right? Maybe this is the best NBA draft in recent memory coming up, and the stud freshman talent. Kingston Flemings could go top 5. Top 5 for Houston. So I don't know if I'm going to feel this way when we get there. And I had it last year. I said it on the show. I had all 4 number 1 seeds to make it last year in Duke, Houston, Auburn, and Florida. I even had in 2008, and I think Bill Zimmerman can actually confirm this, I won the SiriusXM bracket pool when we were there because I had all four Final Four teams. It was the 1 seeds. Kansas and Memphis, who played for the title. Chris Douglas, Roberts, and Derrick Rose couldn't make a free throw at the end of the game. Kansas wins. Shout out to Mario Chalmers. Carolina and UCLA, also the 1 seeds that made it in 2008. I don't think anyone should be shocked if we get to the end of March, the beginning of April, and it's Arizona, Michigan, Duke, and Houston as the 4 Final Four teams. And I feel like those are your 4 1 seeds right now if the season ended today. And maybe you could argue UConn should be a 1 seed. UConn just lost to St. John's. This is all what we'll see. We're a far ways out. Just that I think right now those are your 4 best teams. Now, you could certainly make the argument for Connecticut. And Bracket Matrix has UConn as a 1 right now. I personally would have UConn behind those top 4 teams right now. Arizona, Michigan, Duke, and Houston. You could put UConn in that pairing, right? Or on that list, on that short list. You could put Kansas on that list if you knew Darren Peterson was going to play. You could even put Florida on that list. And the Gators started the season really poorly before starting to play better. Iowa State probably needs to be on the list. Currently the 7th-ranked team in the country. It's a loaded college basketball season. I just think that right now, there are 4 teams that kind of stand above the rest in college hoops. Duke, Houston, and of course, Arizona and Michigan. Ariel Epstein doesn't like peanut butter. No good. Let's take a quick break, and on the other side, we're going to have to convene here as a show and figure out if we want to bring a guest on to talk about terrible food takes, or if I'm just going to start throwing out rapid-fire stuff on the National Football League before we get to Kenny's Corner. So quick break here on a Wednesday, and on the other side, perhaps we'll have a guest. Perhaps I'll be talking about some young quarterbacks in the NFL. You'll have to stick around to find out here on Westwood One Sports.
Yeah, I'll start with Carolina. I can move them up to the highest number 5 seed on the big board. You might say, that's it. They're not number 4. They're not number 3 seed. No, they don't have the overall resume yet to get quite there. Number 24, the net. None of the scoff at there. And again, that is more of a sorting tool, not a be-all, end-all as an individual measurement. They played a borderline top 50 overall strength of schedule, though number 91 in non-conference strength of schedule. 5-4 on the road. Okay, not terrible. 3-3 in quarter 1. Not terrible, but also not great. The biggest issue for Carolina, and, kudos to them, massive win at home. Dean Dome was rocking, stormed the courts, Trimble's 3 at the buzzer, up and good. First time you had a buzzer beater in that series in like 2 decades. Just tremendous, to watch that must-see TV moment, to say the least. But, they're excellent offensively. They stink right now defensively. And they did clamp down late in that game, but they're number 262 in EFGD over the last 30 days. They have got to tighten up in that capacity, or it could be an early exit in the NCAA tournament, no matter where they land, whether it's on the 5 line or a little bit higher, but still a winner for the weekend. And Florida, too. Florida had arguably the most impressive win on the road against a Texas A&M team. I got projected as the number 7 seed right now. One that was really playing white-hot basketball there in the SEC, a major surprise. Florida goes in and just clobbers them. They win by 20. They've been number 2 team in Bart Torvik and overall effectiveness here last 30 days. They're a team that has the best front court in the country, in Chindilu and Condon and Thomas Hawk. They're getting better guard play now from Boogie Flan. Your boy fired off on a ticket over the weekend for Florida to win the national title at 16-1. That's how I'm impressed with this Florida Gators team. They have a chance to repeat. So Florida right now on the 3-seed line, teetering on the 4-seed line. And I think they're going to wind up come Selection Sunday, maybe as high as a number 2 seed. I think ultimately they're going to be a number 3. And man, you do not want to draw them. If they are on the 3 line and you're a 1 or a 2 in that region, watch out. The Gators could be chopping down once again and reaching the mecca of college basketball in the Final Four this year in Indy.
Back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
All right, listen, here's the deal, everybody. I got some awesome football takes. I have this great thing planned on the 2024 draft class and how it's going to be a legendary class, and we'll talk about Drake May and Michael Penix Jr. and Jaden Daniels. Here's what's great. We can do that tomorrow or Friday or next week because the offseason just started. But I believe that we, you and I, our audience and me, that we have stumbled upon something great here on this Wednesday, with Jay Billis of ESPN joining us on the show last hour and revealing that he only eats cheese if it's melted. He is 62 years old. And while he is a college basketball savant, I would say he has the palate of a toddler. Honestly, my daughter eats cheese. She's 20 months old. I think she's ahead of schedule as it concerns our friend Jay Billis. We love having Jay on the show. So I tweeted Jay Billis's food take. We have people, in the media and otherwise chiming in. Ariel Epstein saying peanut butter sucks, to which I say, no, Ariel, you suck. She doesn't. I think she's great. And how about this? Our buddy Ryan Glasspiegel, who is an incredible job for our pals at Front Office Sports on Twitter at Sports Report. Like one of the nicest guys also out there, one of the hardest working guys out there, breaking stories, doing great work, covering sports media, tweeted saying this. Ryan, welcome to the show, first of all. What is Ryan Glasspiegel's hot food take?
Well, that's quite an introduction. I'm going to have to die before you so you can read my eulogy. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say first time, long time, because
yes,
that's true. First time on the show. I've been listening since the very beginning, and as I've told you privately and I've said publicly many times, I think you deserve all of the growth this platform has had. So here was my food take. I will not eat food that comes from the ocean. I will not eat food that comes from the rivers. I will not eat food that comes from the lake unless it's processed tuna in a can.
You said that, by the way, like you were like a preacher giving a televangelical service. Is that the first time you've delivered that line? Because if so, you did really well.
It's off the top of my head. There's no limit to my brain.
Why don't you like seafood? Like, what is it about seafood that you don't like?
Well, first of all, shellfish, I have a mild allergy, so I'm gonna need an EpiPen or potentially choke and die. But it does.
So you said mild. You can't put
and
mild and death in the same sentence. It's a mild allergy. If
I
eat it, I drop dead.
I said it's not like that. No,
okay,
I
got
said
it.
It's not if I eat it, I drop dead. If I eat it, then the inside of my throat itches, and I have to plug my ears and do the noise from Dumb and Dumber to soothe the itching. But that's a shellfish, and then with regular fish, the texture it just it just makes the hair on my arms raise, and it gives me goosebumps. And I go into the mode of like a toddler saying, I don't want it. And it's just the way things are.
What would you say to Jay Billis if he were here? Jay Billis only eats cheese if it's melted.
I mean, I don't know which is like more insane because people who like seafood love seafood, but like, how could he not eat like a cheese and charcuterie platter? You know, you go to a football game in Wisconsin or you go to like a restaurant that has one of these as an appetizer and it's better than the actual meal. I don't know how you could deprive yourself of that. Or like cheese curds that are not deep fried. Like, I don't know. And then like cold sandwiches, does he not eat cold cuts? What does he do? Like if you're getting like a ham and cheese sandwich, does he just get ham? I'm baffled at the way that this makes his life more difficult.
Do you and to be clear, like I'm saying this like half joking, do you think less of Jay Billis's college basketball analysis now that you know that he only eats cheese if it's melted?
No, I mean, I think a lot of people in this business have food quirks. Al Michaels won't eat a vegetable. I think we've heard that once or twice.
Or 10 million times.
Wait, okay, so you have heard that. It wasn't me making
yes,
it
I believe
up.
so.
Like, you're
yes.
aware.
And also,
Ryan,
Ryan, let me ask you this. Did you know that Al Michaels' favorite LA hotspot is Spago? Did you know that?
I didn't know that, actually.
You didn't?
I actually didn't. Apparently, I missed that canon. But, Jim Nantz famously brings a photo of his toast with him to, like, show diners, like, hey, this is how I want my toast, which I want to start doing that for bacon because there's big variance on bacon, and when you order it from a restaurant, whether it's going to be chewy or crispy or what it's going to look like, I think I want to start photographing my bacon.
Yeah, okay, I actually think that's totally permissible. I like bacon like a little crunchy, honestly. And when you get bacon that's not well done, like some people can like it, I don't. I think, like, rate this quirk, right? I love hot pepper, like crushed red pepper, right? And I don't want to start my meal. Like, let's say I get a bowl of pasta, right? I want to shower that son of a bitch in red pepper. And I feel like I can't start my meal until I get the red pepper. And sometimes I will ask for it. They don't bring it to me. And I sit there. My wife hates this. And I'm seething because I feel like I can't start eating until I get the red pepper.
I have like a little bit of like a cousin of that tick where I don't like Cholula, and for some reason, like Cholula has been elbowing out a bunch of other hot sauces for market share in recent years. And so, I like Tabasco, I like Frank's, I like Crystal, I like Louisiana hot sauce. Give me some Sriracha. But if it's Cholula, I'm like, go back into that toddler mode. And for a while, I've stopped doing this, but for a while, I would just like carry a little bottle of Frank's Red Hot with me when I went to restaurants in case they didn't have like a hot sauce that I like.
I'm guessing your answer, Ryan, I'm guessing that is sick. Also, I respect it. I'm guessing your answer to this question is going to be Frank's Red Hot since you carry it with you everywhere you go, like it's like a picture of your children. I have a strong opinion on this. What would be Ryan Glasspiegel's number one spot in the hot sauce power rankings? Is it Frank's or is it something else?
No, it's Crystal. It's Crystal. It's like Louisiana style hot sauce. It has like the blue label. That's past Frank's. That's what we have in our fridge, and that's what I eat at home. And if I did bring a bottle of hot sauce to restaurants now, which I stopped doing, it would be Crystal.
I'm a Tabasco guy, but I think, listen, a good hot sauce is good hot sauce, as long as we can agree that we all like hot sauce.
Ryan, here's the thing. Like Tabasco and Crystal and Frank's, like you taste it, but it like complements the dish. You put Cholula on your meal, and Cholula thinks it's like the main character, and you're there to see them.
I actually really agree with that, and if I didn't, I would say so. I don't like Cholula either. I feel like Cholula has to be used like in only certain instances. I'm not a huge fan. I'm with you. Ryan Glasspiegel is our guest, Front Office Sports, on Twitter at Sports Report. I want to hit you with, maybe we should talk some sports media, but You had a great tweet over the weekend that I interacted with. I liked it. It was well, I'm calm by. This is not the setup to a joke. I actually really did enjoy the tweet. It was your list of best food cities in America. And as a snobby New Yorker, I like that you put New York first. You had San Francisco very high up on the list. Now, I like the food in San Francisco. Why do you like the food in San Francisco better than like Chicago, Vegas, Miami, and others?
I had really good Thai and really good Vietnamese, and it feels like one of those cities where, like, if you go to any Asian restaurant, especially Thai or Vietnamese, it's going to be really good. But, like, the real thing that pushed it over the edge was on my way out of town, I went to this Italian sandwich place called Molinari. I went there with an old friend, and we split, like, we each got a chicken cutlet and a prosciutto sub, and we, like, went half and half. And for some reason, you just can't get a sandwich in Chicago that's as good as I had right there. And that's why I sent that tweet at that moment, is that sandwich was fresh in my brain. In Chicago, you can't find a place that has that good of bread and that good of meat. You can get one, but not both.
This is why, like I'm telling you, just New York, the food capital of the world, absolutely the best.
New York City's the best. It is, and anyone who disagrees is a racist.
Well, I
said it.
Yeah, but you know what? I would say terrorist, honestly. Then we could even take it a step further. What were your thoughts on NB? Our chat is laughing very hard at that comment from you. I think everybody really enjoyed that. What did you think of NBC's
Family Guy?
So I don't know why. You're on Instagram, right? I don't know if I follow you on Instagram.
I am, but it's like private, and like I don't use it professionally. I went private on the day that like Dave Portnoy said my head should be chopped off, and I never put it back.
So like, I don't know, like the Instagram algorithm is very interesting, right? I watched recently a Family Guy video, a Borat video, and a video of Office Space bloopers. I've never even watched the show, not Office Space, The Office, like the TV show. I've never watched The Office, but now like I feel like I've seen every episode because all I'm getting fed are Office bloopers with Steve Carell, like really funny scenes from Borat, which I actually think has somehow become underrated, and very funny clips from Family Guy. Do you have a similar experience on social media with the algorithms?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Except like now it's just like, because of what I tweeted this morning, it's all like Bad Bunny takes. But like, yeah, if you tweet or get like Twitter is where I spend almost all my time on social media, and then probably Reddit is second. But the Reddit algorithm has me read pretty well now. Like it really is serving me like things that are interesting as soon as I log into the app. But yeah, Twitter, as soon as you hit like or share a tweet or even tweet about something, all of a sudden that's your whole personality for the day.
Yeah, I actually, like my Twitter, my For You thing is just like, it's all like wrestling and video games and sports. I'm like, this is, I think Elon finally fixed it. Like I actually enjoy it now. Do you want to talk sports media or no?
Sure, let's do it.
What'd you think of NBC's coverage of the Super Bowl?
I thought it was really good. I think, Tirico and Collinsworth is top notch. And, Bad Bunny isn't for me. I understand why they did it. I understand that he's very popular globally, and they're trying to reach this Hispanic demographic as like the next frontier of football fans. And they're really trying to, guide them into the tent. But that's not an NBC issue. That's like, Jay-Z, Apple, and Goodell in a consortium coming together and deciding that's what they're going to do. I thought I really liked how they set up that Rodney Harrison, Tony Dungy thing. A lot of networks wouldn't put two personalities in conflict with each other in the pregame show to the Super Bowl. I can't remember a time where we've seen something like that. And so I appreciated that they kind of gave us that little bite.
If I gave Ryan Glass-Steagall the number one overall pick in the sports play-by-play draft, who is the number one pick? And if it's not Mike Tirico, why is it not Mike Tirico?
I think it's Joe Buck. I think that the Buck Aikman team is the gold standard. There's a reason why ESPN had to pay almost $50 million a year to poach it from Fox. I don't think you're going to see any other announcing duo get that right away, like anytime soon. Now, I understand that is partially incumbent on the color commentator, but, Buck, like, for the first half of our sporting lives, he was like a little bit of like a laughing stock, and people were like, "Oh, I don't want him here. This sucks. Why are we being forced to have Joe Buck?" And I actually think that he like internalized all that criticism, and instead of becoming embittered by it, it like just drove him to become maybe the greatest of our lives. Him and Al Michaels, like, are 1 and 2, I think, and then I'll go Tirico right after that. So I'm not like, dumping on Tirico or anything. I'm not going to do the first take thing where they're debating Jordan and LeBron and you have to like talk about the flaws of one of them to beef up your argument. I just think Joe Buck is by a notch the top guy.
I remember watching the 96 World Series with my dad, Yankees Braves. And me and my dad both saying to each other, it was Buck and McCarver at the time, the late Tim McCarver. They're rooting for the Braves. We were absolutely, and that's what made it so funny in the social media age where Joe Buck's like, everyone thinks I hate their team. We were absolutely convinced that Buck and McCarver were outwardly rooting for the Braves on the Fox broadcast of the 1996 World Series.
And like McCarver was like a big Mets guy, so it would stand to reason that would seep into his bias, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I'm a Yankee fan, so you don't have to convince me that everyone hates my favorite team, especially in that period of time. Tony Romo, Ryan, drew a ton of criticism. I think deservedly so, and I know that colleagues of yours don't think Romo's that bad. How about this? I don't think he's terrible. I think he should be on like the second or third team, and he's the top team on CBS. What is your opinion on what Tony Romo did this season, and do you think CBS will do something about it, whatever that is?
They have one more year to really think deep down, do we want to pull this cord? Because next year is this ESPN, ABC Super Bowl, and then the year after that is CBS. And so they're going to really have to decide, do we want to go into the Super Bowl season battle with Tony Romo and Jim Nantz? It's a very fascinating situation, Nick, because that Iron Eagle J.J. Watt team is better. And like,
they're so much
Greg
better.
Olson
it's not even close, right?
Color commentator. Yeah. Like it's I don't know. Like it was astounding to me really that J.J. Watt got this good this fast because, I've known about him, to brag, longer than anybody listening to this because I'm a Badger and I remember him like emerging as a walk-on and then all of a sudden just wreaking havoc on opposing quarterbacks. And so I've been like a huge J.J. Watt fan for a really long time now, 15 plus years. But I did not expect him to have like this, colorful personality as a game analyst. And right away he comes in and you almost get like a sense of like John Madden out of him where he, I just didn't know he had that in it.
Can I give you a broadcasting hot take? And I am not like, this is not to put you in a position to say something negative about this person. I don't know what your opinion is on this person. This might, and I am a little biased because I've known this person for almost 20 years and I do consider him to be a friend. I think Ross Tucker has some John Madden in him when he's calling games. Do you have anything? I think that if he gets a bigger opportunity, I think he's a star.
I think he set the record for the number of times that I could see somebody during Super Bowl week, but we don't actually stop and talk to each other last week.
Oh yeah, he's all over the place. He gets it. He plays the game. It's not even like, you see him on Radio Row, obviously. You see him at the volume party, sure. But I would like see him at like the dive bar, Tempest. And I'm like, how do I keep seeing you? And I don't know, I'm sorry, I haven't approached you. It's just, that whole week, like, not to like get off topic, but do you ever have this like thing where you meet someone and you talk to them for a few minutes, but you just like
you're so busy that you don't really internalize it, and then you meet them again the next day, and you have no recollection of having spoken to them. That happened
this
to me
is my
last
life.
week a couple of times.
This is my. I had. I'm not going to say the name of who it is. A really, really, really good sports agent, like represents people in media who I've spoken to in the past, off air. I've had conversations with in person. He is a very nice guy. He's not my agent, but he's very good at what he is. Lots of really good clients. He comes up to me, shakes my hand. I'm looking at him and I'm just like, I have no idea who you are. And I try to do the thing, and this is like Larry David should do a bit on this on Curb Your Enthusiasm. I try and do the thing, Ryan, where, because everyone has the credential on, right? Where you try and like dart your eyes downward for half, yes, to see like, what is this person's name? And he looks at me and goes, it's okay that you don't remember me, and says, it's blank. And I was like, man, it's great to see you. And we talked for like a couple of minutes, and he walked away, and I'm just like, damn it, man. So yes, I would say I experienced that quite a bit. I
had one of those with an agent too, but he was like nice enough to like introduce himself by name and then be like, I work with this other agent. I'm like, okay, thank you for like not hanging me out to dry in this like impromptu interaction.
I'll tell you who this is off air. I had an interaction with an agent like 8 years ago where the agent was basically like I will paraphrase what he said to me, was basically like, I don't think you're very good and I don't see any opportunities for you. And when I went up to him and I was like, hey, good to see you. He's like, man, like congratulations on all your success. That just fed my ego a little bit. Just wanted to say that. I'll tell you who it is.
We all have. Every creator has those, and you remember them forever, like the people who didn't believe in you.
Oh, I have the email saved. Maybe I showed it to Bill Zimmerman right after that conversation that I had with this gentleman, who is a nice guy, to be fair. All good. Like, stuff happens, no problem.
This is getting really... All right, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Not to go too deep into the weeds, because I'm not sure how much the audience cares about these agents that represent broadcasters, but when you take one of them on, you're basically signing up to be their shrink. And so you have to think in your mind that this can be like a high 6, low 7-figure earner within like 3 or 4 years period in order to take the risk of like becoming one of our shrinks. And
you're so right
about
that.
That's the calculus they're doing in their head. Cause there's lots of like up days, but there's also lots of down days as you're like trying to like just claw your way up the mountain of this business. And so the agent is like looking at it like, can this guy make $1 million a year? And how much is he going to drive me crazy? Like calling me at like 8 p.m. I'm at dinner with my wife, but he's like going through some existential crisis. And now I have to drop everything and listen to him.
I'm not kidding. Like, my agent, Tim Scanlon, and like the crew knows him, and like he's objectively, like everyone loves him. Used to run talent at ESPN. He's a great guy. I will call him sometimes, Ryan, and like I'm not even talking about like my job. I'll be like, hey man, like I just need some life advice. And I'm sure he's probably like, well, like you make me money, so I'll take this call. But otherwise, maybe I wouldn't be willing. He's the best, but you're 100% right about that. My last media question, and I'll filibuster the question for a second to give you a chance to think of the answer if one doesn't come to mind. Any other media story right now, this can be football, could be whatever, that you find interesting, that will be percolating, as we approach the summer into next football season. Give us something interesting in sports media that Ryan Glass-Steagall thinks that might be off the radar, maybe it's on the radar, something that you find interesting right now in sports media.
The NFL has 4 games to sell now because in the ESPN NFL Network deal, there were like 7 NFL Network games, and ESPN is absorbing 3 of them. So first of all, ESPN is getting rid of their Monday Night Football doubleheaders, so they're going to have like something like 8 games to put somewhere else that isn't on Monday, and I'm interested to see what they do with that. My suspicion is it's going to be a lot of those Europe games and like some of those late season Saturday games, but it still kind of remains to be seen. And then where does the NFL go with slicing and dicing up those other 4 games? Like, it seems like YouTube they're all the signals are that they're going to get an expansion from their one, and then what do they do with the rest of them? And it could honestly go anywhere, right?
It could. And I'll say, like, you know, if YouTube would like to pay me a lot of money to be on their broadcast, I would do it. That would be the one broadcast last year. It was the Chiefs-Chargers game in Brazil that I wasn't, like, in love with. Like, I don't need to see Mr. Beast or, like, these YouTube creators.
I know. I don't need to see them all the time. The Netflix is doing that, too. They were, like, integrating their shows that I don't care about into, like, the middle of their games. And
like WWE did. Like, here's a Stranger Things edition of Monday Night Raw. Like, who asked for this?
But like WWE has like always done that. They always kind of lean into whatever like pop culture elements will want to be associated with them. I don't need that as much in my football. And then, I mean, I think that's really the main one. Like, you know, there's like other things like what does CBS do to replace Matt Ryan? Like, does Travis Kelce retire and go into media, or does he come back for another year? But I like, just in terms of like the business ramifications, like every one of those 4 NFL games is like a 9-figure deal. And so that's what I'm really like just looking at with like, where are they going to put those?
I'm going to be honest with you, buddy. And like, you know how I feel about you off air. It's like, I really like you. I'm not BSing you. This was like an extraordinary segment. You're great, and I would love to do this more often. Like, great job on Twitter at Sports Report, Front Office Sports. I appreciate you, buddy.
All right, thank you, man. Great to talk anytime.
Yeah, great to talk to Ryan. He doesn't like seafood. He's a child, but I'll tell you what, that was a great interview. He's awesome, and he's so. Thank you very much to Ryan. He's so right about agents serving as shrinks for talent. I actually will call my agent and be like, hey, like, I'm struggling with something in my personal life. Do you have a little time? And then he spends like 30 minutes on the phone with me. Now, if I made him no money, would he do that? I like to think that the answer is yes. Maybe not. We're talking football coming up next to wrap the hour. You better you bet here on Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
I'm going to do it for 2 quarterbacks right now that we know did not have a ton of success with the team they were drafted by. And for me, I would say Baker Mayfield is probably number one that stands out. I don't think he seems as unlikely as Darnold, but it would still be a surprise if Baker Mayfield wins the Super Bowl next year. Guy that had, again, went to the playoffs with the Browns, but largely negative when you look at his tenure there with the team that drafted him. And then he went to Carolina. Then he goes to Tampa Bay, and he's been killing it. But, again, to get to a Super Bowl is a whole other conversation. I think Baker's the most likely candidate to do that, somebody that we already see in that arc right now. Somebody else that we're kind of closing, we're nearing that next stage. And I don't know if I really believe in him, but the talent is there, is Kyler Murray, who went to the playoffs with Arizona, looked like an MVP candidate the year that they started out 7-0, and he was balling. And now he's kind of at rock bottom right now for his career. I don't even know what team he's going to end up on next season. I don't think Arizona's keeping him. I don't think there's any chance they're keeping him. And so I got to see what team Kyler Murray ends up on. But we know as much of his shortcomings there are, not a big arm, short. He's got the speed. He's got the talent. We've seen it before. I don't know, man, 5 years from now, Kyler Murray at age like 31, 32 with a great team, great system. I could see it. If we could see Sam Darnold, like we said, I could see it. But for me, it would most likely be Baker Mayfield.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
No matter the matchup, betting with boosted odds makes every basket mean more. Activate your odds boost token for any college basketball bet, and you'll receive a bigger payout if your bet wins. Get set for tip-off with BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today. I'll give you my college basketball bets at the end of the show. Some YouTube comments to get to on the great food debate on You Better You Bet on this Wednesday. Our buddy Mark says Ariel Epstein needs to be investigated for her peanut butter take. I love Ariel, but I agree. Our buddy Void, eggs on their own are gross. Fried, scrambled, boiled, I don't care. Guys, I'm trying to read comments in the chat, please. Thank you. Would never eat eggs on a plate. I think that is a terrible take. You make yourself some scrambled eggs with cheese. Those things are delicious. Our buddy Nolan, peanut butter ruins chocolate or ice cream. I don't agree with that. Fine, good in other combos, but I've never understood society's desire to push chocolate peanut butter as an elite pairing. I'll actually say, I think I love peanut butter, that most peanut butter desserts are actually not good. I actually agree. And every time I get one, I'm disappointed. But Reese's peanut butter cups are the 10 candy bar. Like, that's the elite candy bar. You go to a store, you want to get a candy bar, Reese's peanut butter cup, for me, is like the Michael Jordan of candy bars. The LeBron James, perhaps, of candy bars. And our buddy Chris, plain pizza the only way to go, and doesn't dip his buffalo wings in anything. Let me tell you, we had at Radio Row, I don't even know what it was. They like giving out chicken wings every day. You would have thought this was like people were starving. the way that they were lined up for these wings. They were delicious, and it was also the only food there. They had this red, like Korean spicy dip, sweet and spicy dipping sauce. I wanted to bathe in it. I like dipping my wings and stuff. So I said at the start of the show that there's a new unbreakable record in sports, and I think it speaks poorly of us as a society. I promised I would explain. I'll do so now. Last night, and this is just like a bigger, we'll get into it with Zach Harper next hour from The Athletic and Sirius XM NBA Radio. The NBA's got a huge issue with load management and tanking, and it's like, I don't even know, they don't even seem interested in fixing it. LeBron James did not play last night for the Lakers, neither did Luka Doncic or Austin Reeves or Marcus Smart or DeAndre Ayton. They got blown out by the Spurs. Victor Wembanyama had 37 points in the first half. Because LeBron missed the game, he is no longer eligible for All-NBA status, which will end a 21-year streak of LeBron making All-NBA. The next closest player in the history of the league to LeBron is the great Kobe Bryant with 15. It will never happen again. Because it's not just that LeBron, A, has played as long as he has, B, been as good as he's been. It's that he never gets hurt. Isn't that incredible? 21 straight years, all NBA. Like, you can put that up there with Cy Young's 511 wins, DiMaggio's 56-game hit streak. Like, it will never, ever be topped. And think about, like, when you go to the gym, like January 2nd, all, like, the fat slobs on the treadmill, shuffling like an old man on ice. They stop working out by, like, January 8th. LeBron made All-NBA 21 years in a row. We, collectively, are going to miss him when he's gone. Power Hour, final hour on the other side. We will start the hour talking National Football League with the great Greg Rosenthal of NFL Media.
But J.J. McCarthy was like number 35 in adjusted completion percentage. He was woeful. He was garbage. He was an absolute joke when he was on the field with arguably one of the elite and best wide receiver weapons in the game, and Justin Jefferson. You might say, well, it's because he was injured. missed valuable developmental time, yada, yada, yada. He's been injured now 2 straight seasons in some form or fashion. He could just be a Jamarcus Russell type and eventually got to throw in the towel and say, yeah, he bombed. We failed. He never lived up to the hype. And the other question I always have, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this too, Pat, in college, we won a title with Michigan. He didn't throw a whole lot. He was a consummate game manager, whole lot of Blake Corum, whole lot of Michigan defense for that national title team. You wonder if Jim Harbaugh was disguising some of the issues of J.J. McCarthy as a result, not unleashing him, because he knew that if he did, he would run the risk, possible turnover, or, a situation where they would just bog down drives repeatedly. So I want to get your thoughts on that, if there's any credence to that belief. And what are your thoughts about J.J. McCarthy overall? I think right now he could prove me wrong, but he is on a path to colossal bust.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Bring it up, Kenny. Final hour. Power hour. You better you bet. With Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports. Our crew is here. And you know who else is here? You. The Power Hour and every hour here on You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. We had a great sportsy show planned for you today. I mean, so much sports. I've got some great stuff in the chamber, man. The 2024 quarterback draft class, is it going to stack up with 83? 2004. And the offseason's about to be undergone by Drake May. Mike Vrabel says Will Campbell's not moving positions. Doesn't seem great to me. Does Michael Penix have what it takes to execute Kevin Stefanski's offense successfully? And David Blau, that's his name. That name again is David Blau. Says Jaden Daniels going to play more under center this year for the Washington Commanders. That was going to be like 22 awesome minutes. And then we had Jay Billis on the show from ESPN in the first hour, and he said that he only eats cheese if it's melted. He's 62 years old and somehow has the palate of a 2-year-old. We love when Jay Billis comes on the show. So we will talk a lot of National Football League with our friend Greg Rosenthal from NFL Media, and I will compliment Greg before I ask him his hottest food take. But Greg joins us now, at Greg Rosenthal, Greg, of course, with 2 Gs. Greg is the host of NFL Daily, and if you are like me, and you love the National Football League, and you love, and I mean this in the most complimentary way possible, the minutia of the NFL, which I am obsessed with. Like, I want to have sleep on me like it's a blanket. You need to listen to NFL Daily with Greg Rosenthal and like Nick Shook and Jordan Rodrigue and Patrick Claybon and others. It is sensational. And I think Greg is one of the best, period, when it comes to breaking down the NFL. My friend, it's good to have you on the show. How's it going?
Appreciate you, Nick. It's 2 days after the season, and you've got like 30 minutes on who's the best quarterback from 3 years ago. I love it.
I may ask you your opinion on that, but before we do that, what is Greg Rosenthal's hottest or most embarrassing food take?
I don't think this is embarrassing. I don't even know if it's hot. But it's that all food is good. It just has to be prepared well. Like, I don't need your bad food takes. If any food can be good if you make it well.
Give me an example of a food that you think people don't like that you think is good if it's prepared well.
Throughout any, like, I will eat any, if there's a weird animal on your menu, I'm going to eat it. You know
like
what I mean?
Like you like OFFAL, like you like that.
Like a rabbit or alligator, turtle, or whatever you want. Like, I'm like, if you're going to put that on the menu, you're probably going to do something pretty great with it. I'm going to go ahead and try it. Maybe a little raw crab at a Korean place. That's pretty wild, but they put so much nice sauce on it. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
You like do you like sea urchin, uni?
I do like that. I have to admit, though, there is food I don't really like, so I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth.
Well, you're not. I would say you're not kind of doing that. You are doing that, but that's okay.
Yeah, like okra. But maybe I just haven't eaten the right okra. You know what I mean?
I would say that uni, I think, is actually like the king of Japanese food. Just my personal opinion. You taste it.
Delicious.
It's like the ocean. People are scared off of it because of the texture and how it looks. You taste it, and it tastes like if the ocean were delicious, it would be distilled down into uni. I think it's absolutely the best. And with that, I guess we should probably talk some football. How does Greg Rosenthal, New England Patriots fan, feel in the aftermath of Super Bowl 60?
Not amazing. Silly that I picked them. Like, this should have been the exception of I just picked the team. If my team's going to be in a game like that, I'm just going to pick them because I don't want to feel conflicted. And yet, I've been thinking all season this Seahawks team was the best team in the NFL, and I was just a little surprised how overmatched the coaching staff was, how few answers, and the plan perplexed me in general. They kind of let Seattle get into their very best defensive game plan the whole game, and then never really went off it. They stayed in 11 personnel with 3 wide receivers the whole time. They never like spread them out like the Patriots did so well all year. They never went jumbo like they did in the playoffs and did well. It was so conservative. I don't think it would have mattered, but I think a better coaching game plan would have at least made the game better.
You'll be heartened to hear that Patriots legend Devin McCourty was on the show yesterday and said basically the same thing that you just said, that it was the coaching that cost the New England Patriots. Now, this might sound a little crazy. I'm curious if you agree with this, right? Because the Super Bowl that this made me think of, and I'm a Giants fan saying this, it felt a little bit like Super Bowl 35. It's Ravens 34, Giants 7. I think the difference, though, between that game and this game, there is no universe, alternate, multi, or otherwise, where that Giants team beats that Ravens team. I think if they played that game 50 times, I think the Ravens win all 50. There is, I'm being honest, there is a way, like a game state that could have played out, where the Patriots, I don't know if they win, maybe they win, but certainly keep the game way closer. Sam Darnold almost got pick-sixed on the first play of the game. And how many interceptions did the Patriots almost have and they dropped? And, I kind of got goosebumps. I think it was at the end of Seattle's first drive, which they settled for a field goal, right? And Chris Collinsworth goes, talking to Mike Vrabel and the defensive coaches, their plan is to wait and jump all these throws. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, how many picks is Darnold going to throw in this game? The answer was none. Do you think there was a game state that could have played out where I actually think like the Patriots could have won if they had played this game 10 times? Maybe like 2 or 3 times.
I'll give them 2. I thought 4 going into the game, maybe 1 or 2. The way you're right about the defensive game plan. The defensive game plan was great. It was a Super Bowl winning game plan. They didn't get the turnover. They gave up 12 points in the first 8 drives. That's a point and a half per drive. That's what the New York Jets did this year. And you're absolutely right though that the offensive game plan almost felt like let's let the defense turn the ball over. And the fact that they kept preventing touchdowns and it was only 12-0 after the fourth quarter supported it. But I hated the third quarter drives where they're running on 3rd and 5. They're punting on 4th and 1. And at that point, that was the moment where I was just like, dude, your game plan cannot just be let's heat up Sam Darnold and hope for a turnover. And ultimately say it was a close pick 6 on the first play. Like, you're right. But I had the perfect view in the stadium from that because we were in the corner. It's like, it was a perfect throw. Like in the end, he did a good job preventing turnovers. He got lucky maybe 1 or 2 times, but ultimately he played a safe game and their offense stunk so bad, Nick. I don't know if they win those 2 games out of 10. I'll give you 1 where the defense just turns him over a couple times.
I'm curious where you come down on this. And just to give it, I've said it on the show a couple times this week where, look, I think Patriots are probably going to be really good for a long time, right? And Josh McDaniels is not going to get a head coaching job. He'll be there for as long as he wants, you would presume. But I know a lot of people, Patriots fans and otherwise, are kind of a little sour on right, wrong, or indifference on Drake May and Mike Vrabel following this game. Where does Greg Rosenthal, and again, I'm not just saying this because you're on the show. I would say it if you weren't here. I think you're one of the most astute football minds out there. I mean that sincerely. Where are you at now? Does it change how you feel about the May Vrabel Patriots moving forward with such a Humpty Dumpty sized egg late in the big game?
No, it doesn't change how I feel about those two at all and where they're going forward. Now, I'm not as high, maybe even as you said, they'll be back there and they're going to be loaded for bear. They're one of 6, 7 teams in the AFC that all have real strengths. The thing that they have that almost any other team doesn't have is a real deal quarterback. And that's where I don't feel any different. He's 23 years old, Nick. He's 2 years younger than Joe Burrow was when he made the Super Bowl in his second year. He's still 2 years younger. It's not ever going to change than Jaden Daniels and the other guys from his class. He's younger than Cam Ward. I really do find that compelling, and I believe in him so much long term. I think what the playoffs did for me with him, though, showed me maybe he's still ahead of schedule, but maybe he's not as far ahead of schedule as you think. I'd take him over Caleb to go back to your class of a couple of years ago.
You're going to make a lot of people really mad about that, May over Caleb.
Yeah,
just telling you, people are going to get really upset.
I'd take him over Caleb. I'd take him over Jaden Daniels, but maybe the gap isn't what I thought. Maybe he's not as close to where Josh Allen and the very best quarterbacks are right now as I thought. And by the time he is 25 and he's as old as Jaden, I think he might get there by then.
What about J.J. McCarthy?
Well,
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. You bet on this Wednesday. Greg Rosenthal with me here. Yeah, maybe McCarthy can be good. Well, it's not a great season for Kevin O'Connell and J.J. McCarthy. Greg Rosenthal, host of NFL Daily on the show on Twitter at Greg Rosenthal. Greg, I love that you love the history of the league the way that I love the history of the league. I had a lot of Seahawks fans very upset with me on Monday when I said, look, great team, worthy champion, not an all-time team. Where do you come down on the 2025 Seahawks? DVOA says that the 2025 Seahawks are the 3rd best team ever. I kind of think that's a joke, even if I respect Aaron Schatz and respect the stat. Where do you come down on the 2025 Seahawks?
Yeah, I think I'm in between you two. I mean, they're definitely not top 5 team of all time, but I do think they're closer to last year's Eagles team than people realize. And when I went through last year and ranked all the Super Bowl champions of the last 10 years, that Eagles team was 1st or 2nd. I think they'd be in my top, 3 of the last 10 years or so. I think they're just so balanced, Nick, and the defense was so good and the special teams was great that you don't rate a team that the offense is just very good as highly. But I really do think those 2 Rams games warped our view of this defense. You throw away those 2 games, and I know you can't, this is an all-time defense, like that Ravens defense back in the day. And so they're pretty close to an all-time team for me. I think there's a stat in terms of minutes trailed in the playoffs, Nick, where I think they're the fewest or the second fewest of all time. This is a team that got into the playoffs, played with a lead, and they were great all the way through.
And that just reminded me of Pinheiro trying to trip Rashid Shaheed on the first play of the Seahawks in the postseason, which is like something out of like a Three Stooges video. Just very quickly, just for bleeps and giggles. Neutral field, who wins?
Mm-hmm.
The 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady's first year, or the 2025 Seahawks?
I think I'd go with the Seahawks, yeah. I really would. I believe in this defense. I think they're like where Sean McVay and Shanahan and the offenses were a few years ago. They're like the cutting edge of something that's just starting. They're great.
Okay, I was not going to ask you this question, but I'm going to now because I think this is so interesting. I talked about it on Monday, right, where it feels like, Mike McDonald obviously is hired in part because I think the Seahawks and John Schneider felt that he could stop those two offenses, right, with McVay and Shanahan in the same division, and he's kind of like risen above them, honestly, at least for now. And what I think's fascinating, Greg, is it took a while for defenses to kind of find a counterpunch to that offense, right? It probably started that Sunday night game in 2018 with Vic Fangio and the Bears against Jared Goff, Sean McVay, and the Rams. And I think now we've reached a point where offenses have got to find the counterpunch. And Kyle Shanahan talked about this in the NBC pregame, what makes the Seahawks defense so difficult to try and score points on. You're as plugged in as it gets. You study this stuff. Like, what do you think's next here, offense v. defense, as the league is going to change this offseason?
I do think defenses are catching up a little bit. You saw more of the run game being a factor this year. I still think it's harder to build a great defense, but it's why you've seen a lot of the McDonald assistants get jobs throughout the league. Denard Wilson is the Giants defensive coordinator. Jesse Minter's the Ravens head coach. He's kind of part of that coaching tree. Ultimately, I'd still rather have one of those offensive guys long term, but I think for like 2026, like we could still see a little more defensive running in the league than we've seen in the last few years.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I'm going to filibuster and give you a chance to think of an answer. So yesterday on the show, I went through the odds board, right, for Super Bowl 61. Who would I like to win the Super Bowl, both at price and just like what team do I think is going to win? I settled on. Now we got to get the substation fixed. I settled on, I think the Niners are going to win next year. If I put Greg Rosenthal on the spot and made you pick a suit, you can change your mind, pencil, not pen, it's early. Who would you take and why?
Wow. We taped our podcast post-game right next to the substation, so if I break my ankle in the next couple weeks, we'll know why.
Well, hopefully you would be like Electro, like the Spider-Man villain, and you could like shoot lightning out of your fingertips. That would be like a better outcome, I think.
I was worried about it. It was like, okay, seeing this big thing would freak me out. It's like right next to the place. Man, you're tough. Why do I go back to Baltimore again? I like a new coaching staff. I like what Jesse Minter is going to bring. I do believe. I think AFC is the way to go because it's going to be easier to get through. So I'm going to go back to Baltimore again and hope they have a great offseason.
So Baltimore would be your pick. What's funny about that, right? And I was kind of big on the train that I think Buffalo and Baltimore both needed to move on from their coaches. Not that they're not great coaches, but expiration date may be reached. I actually think if I had to choose one of those two teams, I think I'd choose Buffalo. The reason why I choose Buffalo, I hated Greg. And like Lamar is awesome. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame probably, right? If he keeps up on this pace. I didn't like we need to hire a coach to kind of like get it out of him. I don't love that. And you don't need to get it out of Josh Allen. I think I slightly prefer Buffalo to Baltimore.
I do too, but Lamar's got kind of not an every other year thing because obviously he backed up his MVP year with a great year. But I do just think first year head coach there, they're going to have I think their defense is going to be a lot better. That's going to help out Lamar too. I think Lamar knows everything that went into this year. I just feel like if you're going to get one maybe not even last, but I think you're going to get the best of Lamar Jackson this year. Wouldn't surprise me at all if it's right now when the people don't see it coming. A lot of times with these Bills and Ravens teams, like it's very often the year you kind of don't quite see coming. And so I don't know. For now, I'm thinking Bills. Like Eagles are right there for me. 49ers is a good one. There's no reason not to think about the Rams and Seahawks other than all these three teams are right in the same division.
I just think like Kyle's got to get one. I actually think it would be one of the great injustices in the history of sports if he didn't win a Super Bowl. I think it happens this year. Can we go lightning round to close? Maybe like 30 seconds per answer, a couple quickies for you. As a Giants fan, me and anyone in our audience, what should the devastation level be where instead of Todd Monken running the offense, we get Matt Nagy, and then it is announced literally in the last hour that Brian Callahan will be the passing game coordinator for John Harbaugh's offensive staff.
I mean, devastation out of 10. I'm going to give it a 6 because I think it's a real downgrade. But the important part is Harbaugh and everything else. And a lot of good pieces, as you know, Nick, compared to most teams that have won that few amount of games the last couple of years. A lot of good players.
Yeah, I'm not. They never win any games. I'm not sure how I'm not sure how good this roster is. Should the Las Vegas Raiders? I think the answer is yes. Should the Raiders trade Max Crosby?
Yes, I agree with you. They have so many things to improve on that team, and he wants out. No one's closer to Max Crosby than Jay Glazer. Jay Glazer says he wants out. I do think he'll be able to get a couple of picks that are premium, and I don't think he'll get more than Micah Parsons, though. I think he was wrong about that when he said I think he'd get more than he got for Parsons. I think it'll be less.
Does it bother Greg Rosenthal that the only former NFL MVP quarterback at the Clint Kubiak press conference was Rich Gannon and not Tom Brady?
Yes, because it supports my theory that this is like the fourth most important job, running the Raiders. That's a full-time job. Like, he has so many other things
wouldn't
he's
you
doing.
rather have Matt Ryan? And Brady's a better quarterback, obviously, but Matt Ryan could not be more all in on the Falcons. Tom Brady's like, I'd rather go, and to be fair, like maybe I'd choose this too. Rather go out with like the influencer than like, run the football team.
And just, I think Brady's improved a lot as an analyst, but I trust Matt Ryan a little more. Sometimes it's not the guys who are as great. Anyways, I trust Matt Ryan as a football guy more too.
Final question. This could be positive or negative. What is the NFL head coaching hire this cycle that made you have like the most visceral reaction one way or another, and why?
Oh man, it was the Cardinals settling on Mike LaFleur. Unfortunately, it just felt like the last guy at the club at like 4 a.m. It was so disappointing for
when did you get to San Francisco? I asked this question for a reason. Because you live in LA. When did you get to Frisco?
Wednesday morning, I got there. That's the latest I've ever gotten to a Super Bowl.
Well, good for you, because no one's there on Monday and Tuesday, and I want to change. Like, I flew on Sunday. I'm on 6 a.m. local time. I fly on Sunday, and I'm in the air, and I have notifications on my phone, right? So I get the notification, like, Clint Kubiak going to choose Raiders. Okay, whatever. 20 minutes later, Clint Kubiak will be named next head coach of Raiders once Super Bowl's over. 5 minutes after that, Mike LaFleur named head coach of Arizona Cardinals. It's like, you couldn't like wait like a day and make it less obvious, guys, that you wanted Kubiak.
Not to mention he was the 6th choice, because the crazy thing is the Titans, getting Salah, they were 3rd or 4th in line for the first 3 guys that got hired. And the thing was the Cardinals were right behind the Titans in line for all of that. So the Titans were way ahead of you, Cardinals. And then they still wanted a couple more guys before they got to LaFleur. It's depressing when you're on your 7th choice for a head coach.
Final question. So can I say like what I think you talk about this on your show, right? I just don't want to like talk about your wife, which is a weird thing to say, but your wife is Japanese. That's fine to say, right? You talk about on NFL Daily. You ever feel weird about stuff like that? You say on your show, talk about you go to Japan almost every year, right? Which I think is the coolest thing. Weeks, yeah. Which is awesome, because I think the audience knows I'm a huge fan of all things Japanese. I have Japanese tattoos. I really dig it. You told me a great story about like NFL players seeing each other in Japan. Aside from NFL players, what is a fun Greg Rosenthal anecdote of time that you have spent in Japan?
Oh, well, I mean, it's hard to beat going out with Maurice Jones-Drew and landing at like this tiny bar with my father-in-law, MJD, and myself at like 2 a.m. and just wondering like, how did I get here in life? MJD can't speak Japanese. I can't really either. My father-in-law doesn't speak English, and we're all making it happen. The bad thing is, I don't know, Nick, are you a tattoo guy? You are. You got to cover it up at the onsen, because I'm a big onsen guy. That's the hot spring. And so, I don't have as much as you, but I do have a decent amount of tattoos. And so every year I got to buy more and more coverings, and that's a whole pain. It's a whole thing. I do love it.
Are the hot springs, which are awesome. I went with my now wife when we first started dating. We went to Japan. Final question. I only say this because in another lifetime when I was producing at NFL Radio, I worked with MJD. And I think he's my favorite, like, former football player that I've ever worked with because we're like the same height. As a fellow short king, Greg, do you enjoy your time with MJD because, like, he doesn't make you feel as short as you are? And I say this as also someone who's short.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a great dude too. There's a reason he's been at the NFL forever. Everyone loves working with him. But that helps. The same reason why I liked interviewing Mike McDonald after the game. I mean, he's a little taller than me. 5'8", maybe.
Oh my God, he's my favorite. He's my new favorite color. I changed my pick. I'll take the Seahawks.
Maybe he's 5'9". I don't even know. I don't know if you're like me. Like, once it gets above a certain point, everyone's about the same height to me. They're just tall, but he's not at that level. He's pretty close to high level for me, which I love that he's standing in front of an entire room of NFL players at 5'9", and they all love him.
I don't agree with what you said about, like, once you reach a certain point. When I used to do TV at CBS with Brady Quinn, they used to have me stand on a milk crate when I would stand, because he's like 6'5", stand next to him. Greg, you're the best. If you're an NFL fan and you don't subscribe to NFL Daily, you are doing yourself a disservice. It is outstanding, covering everything happening in the National Football League. You're the best, my friend. I appreciate it. Stay well. We'll catch up down the line.
Thanks, Nick. I'll see you.
The great Greg Rosenthal joining us on You Better You Bet. The great guest parade continues on the other side. The always entertaining Zach Harper of The Athletic and Sirius XM NBA Radio. Talking NBA next on Westwood One Sports.
I think Vanderbilt, you got to look at first and foremost. A team that is hitting the skids a little bit right now. They have lost 4 of their last 7 games. They lost Oklahoma. They were getting absolutely killed in that game. They made almost an incredible historic comeback as the Sooners nearly choked it in the final 2 minutes of the game. But Oklahoma still escaped with a 1-point win, 92-91 inside Memorial Coliseum. You know, Vandy was the feel-good kind of surprise story. Mark Bennington's done an excellent job there. But they're right now number 14 net, nothing, to scoff at there. 6-3 in quarter one, 5-2 on the road. But they're only number 33 in Barts over the last 30 days. They're 183 EFG offense and 213 EFG defense. They're a smaller team. They're struggling through some health issues right now. It's going to be a tough road. They got to go at Auburn coming up tomorrow night. So we'll see what version of the Commodores that we get. And BYU is the other team. They lose to Houston. And they lose convincingly by double figures. Credit to Houston, very tough team to play, but BYU is certainly regressed. They're only number 49 in Torrey the last 30 days, and even worse defensively. I remember, talking about the ills of the Carolina Tar Heels. Well, BYU's 317 in the country in effective field goal percentage defense over the last 8 days. As good as DeBonce is, Richie Saunders is, Kibaka's got to step up his game in the interior. They're getting crushed inside. They're not getting out and challenging shots effectively outside. BYU looking like a 6 seed, and that might be generous come Selection Sunday. They're trending very much in the wrong direction.
Seen Moussa Diabate like this. Oh my goodness, now Miles and Duran and Beef Stew!
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
The legendary Eric Collins with the call on Monday Night Hornets TV of the brawl with the Pistons and Charlotte. I talked about it yesterday on the show. I thought it was great when, the third of the league is tanking, and to get two teams that give a bleep enough to fight in a regular season game. Please give us the Pistons and Hornets in a 1-8 series in the NBA playoffs. Joining us now to talk all things NBA, and we'll wrap the show up with bets for tonight, NBA and college basketball. One of the absolute best when it comes to breaking down the association. SiriusXM NBA radio, and you need to subscribe to The Bounce, which is the NBA newsletter from The Athletic, written by our friend Zach Harper. I subscribe to it. I laugh daily reading it, and the analysis is great.
Thank you.
But you know that you're funny, right? On Twitter at Talk Hoops. Great hair, beard combo also. You are aware that you are funny, correct?
I think I'm funny. There are a lot of people that don't. But I think I'm funny. I make myself laugh.
Are there people that don't think you're funny?
Oh, there are people that do not like me and do not find me charming, funny, whatever. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm not for everybody.
So
I get that.
Are we talking, so like the people that don't find you funny are like haters of yours? Like they don't like you, period?
Yeah, like, you know what? I like a dry sense of humor. I like some dumb puns. Like there's some stuff in there that I get like is not for everybody. But I also think just people are they just like being angry about sports, and I refuse to be angry about sports. I think sports are great. I think sports are fun. I think sports are dumb. I think sports are smart. Like it's I don't know. Like if you get I just don't get angry about sports, and I would never will.
What I would say is, like the people that hate you, and like the people that hate me, I not to brag, I just booked like a pretty expensive vacation to Palm Beach with my family at the end
Isn't
of April.
That a great feeling?
Yeah, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank the haters, because without you, none of these trips would be possible. So thank you very much.
Long ago, my first comment when I was working at ESPN briefly, my first comment where they're like, "This dude needs to be fired." My boss at the time, Chris Ramsey, said it to me and said, "Congratulations, you've made it." That's when you know you've made it. When people want you fired.
My wife will sometimes like see comments, like mostly my wife's not on Twitter, but on Instagram, people will be like, "You suck, like die, whatever." And she's like, "I want to write something back to this person." I go, well, like, no, because like, like that love bracelet that you're wearing, like this person helped me buy it. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Like they're great.
Like,
the haters are the best.
I'm sorry, I don't like the Bucks as much as you do. Like, I'm my bad. Like, that's on me.
I'm sorry that I think the 2025 Seattle Seahawks are merely the 18th best team of all time instead of the 8th. I apologize.
Right, exactly.
For this grievously terrible thing I've said that has ruined your day and hurt your feelings. I mean this sincerely. Shout out to everyone out there who's passionate enough to get mad about takes. I mean that. I love all of you. We came back here, Zach, and we'll talk a bunch of stuff going on in the NBA. But this was great timing. During the commercial break, we got the news on the suspensions for the Pistons-Hornets brawl the other night. Isaiah Stewart, Beef Stew, 7 games. Miles Bridges, 4. Diabate, 4. Jalen Duran, 2. Zach Harper's reaction to that is what?
I thought Stu would be somewhere in the 8 to 10 range, so that's about right. 7 games. Like, he came off the bench. That's an automatic game. He's got a history. He has 4 different suspensions, 3 for altercations, 1 an off-court altercation that happened in the tunnel. The 4th suspension, I believe, was like flagrant fouls, too many flagrant fouls in a season. It triggers an automatic suspension. So him getting 7, about right. Miles Bridges, like, really kept that thing going and was out of control, and it didn't even involve him. So I actually thought that was a little light. I thought he'd get about 6 games. Duren, I thought, would get the same as Diabate. I know Diabate was a little more out of control and pursuing and, kind of went into the first row accidentally and everything. I thought they'd get about 3-4 games each. So Diabate, and that's the weird thing for Moussa Diabate is usually this stuff is like pretty, history based. Like, hey, do you have a history of doing this? Beef Stew, for example, has the history of doing this. But with Diabate, he has no history. Like, he's barely played, right? Like, he's been a big part of this Hornets turnaround, but it's not like he's this like veteran with all these incidents. So they must have really thought, okay, he was out of control. Duren, I think, was a little more guilty than people, viewed it as.
Well,
he basically started by pushing his face. Yeah, you can't face push somebody. Like, you can't do that. And he did kind of keep it going, but there was a certain point where he was just like defending himself. So maybe that was factored.
So we joked about it during the commercial break, right? Like, if David Stern were alive, I'll let that hang for a second. Dude, Isaiah Stewart is in Guantanamo Bay right now. As a Knicks fan, Patrick Ewing wandered off the bench and just like looked around like he was like a tourist in Manhattan and got suspended for a do or die elimination game against the Miami Heat. This is not me saying, oh my God, I wish Isaiah Stewart never played again. Like, I don't care. He's entertaining. I want him to play every game. He's great. I got to tell you, man, I think Adam Silver is a terrible commissioner. I don't think he's very good. I can't even believe that this is what goes on.
Yeah, I don't think he's a terrible commissioner, but I think his reputation is overblown, right? He's been living off the banning Donald Sterling for life thing, which was right as he took over. And it was a big move and it was the right move. And I'm with that. But I think he tries to be friends with the players way too much. Like, I think it's good to have a good working relationship with the players and the Players Association. That is important for business. At the same time, your job is to run the NBA per what the owners want, right? Like, that's the job, and to create the health of the league. I think he's done a phenomenal job of continuing the work of David Stern globally and making sure that this is as expansive as it gets in terms of, fandom and growing the game. I think he's done a great job with that. I think you could focus a little bit more on what the league is. Like, the collective bargaining agreement, which granted is not totally his fault, but it's terrible. This collective bargaining agreement is terrible. It's going to be there for a long time, and it'll probably get worse in the next negotiations because that's just how the stuff goes. And then there's just little stuff with the game, little stuff with like suspensions and rulings. Like, I get it. You want to be friendly with the players. Your job is to still be the commissioner.
There's a betting corollary here that I'll make just as someone, because I as our audience knows, I like to bet on sports. And it's like every day, and like, I love the NBA. I think our audience knows that. Like, I've loved it my entire life. This is not like the NBA sucks. It doesn't suck. Basketball is awesome. It's like when you look at the slate in the morning, you have no idea who's playing in the games. And now you get these situations, right, where, and it's like, if I'm Danny Ainge and I'm Will Hardy, I don't know that I'd be doing anything different than what they're doing, right? Like, their entire rebuild is predicated on getting a top pick, and like they didn't get it last year. They end up with Ace Bailey. Maybe he'll be great. They want to get Peterson or DeBonsa. They are like actually flagrantly tanking games in a way that like we have actually never seen before. It's not even the All-Star break yet, and Jaren Jackson and Lowry Markkanen. So I guess my thing here, Zach, is I love the league. I'm never going to not watch. It actually feels like this is the worst it's ever been. And I don't know if they have any interest in fixing it. Am I overreacting here? Like, kind of like, what do you make of this here?
The competition in the games are great, but the tanking is the worst it's ever been. The fact that we're doing this before the All-Star break is ridiculous, right? So like, I would say the tanking is the worst it's ever been by far. What Utah's doing is actually brilliant in terms of tanking. They're playing their guys until the fourth quarter. And then Jaren Jackson Jr., Lowry Markkanen, even Yusuf Nurkic has been really good. They're capped at like 25 minutes for some reason. They don't play the fourth quarter the last two games. It worked and they lost against Orlando, and then they messed up and beat Miami with this strategy because no one told Ace Bailey, hey, we're not trying to win this game. So he scored like 8 fourth-quarter points.
Bam's quote after the game. I'm sure it was great. What did he say? He's like, we have to try and beat the teams that are both trying to win and trying to lose. We have to try and beat all of them. It's a great line.
He was like, we got to figure out a way to beat these teams that are trying to lose. Like, which is right. Like, you do have to beat the teams that are trying to lose. In Utah's case, like their pick goes to OKC if it's 9th or lower in the draft. So like they do need to protect this pick. It's top 8 protected. But the brilliant part is the league's like, hey, these guys got to play every game. It's like, okay, cool. Fourth quarter comes, they're not going back in the game, and there's nothing the league could do about that because you can't tell the teams how to use their players. Like you just can't. And so it's the most brilliant tanking strategy we've seen. Some people have been like, hey, Sacramento's been doing this for weeks. No, Sacramento sucks. The Kings are terrible. They've been bad no matter who's playing. Healthy, not healthy. This team has they've tied their Sacramento record with 13 straight losses, which they hadn't done since 1990. The franchise record is Cincinnati Royals at 14 losses in a row. They play the Jazz tonight. I've never been more locked into a game with two bad teams in my life.
And you just sold the hell out of that game. I'm going to place a bet on it. I have to now at this point after that.
I honestly don't even know who else is playing tonight. I know they're playing.
Yeah, what do we got here? Let's see the NBA slate for tonight quickly. Yeah, we'll do. I'll get a thought on a game from you at the very end of the day. Oh, we got some decent games tonight. You bet on this Wednesday. Zach Harper is with us at Talk Hoops, Athletic NBA, the Bounce newsletter, Sirius XM NBA Radio. I said earlier in the show, Zach, I think we have a new addition to the record that will never be broken in sports, with LeBron's 21 consecutive All-NBA streaks having been snapped last night. He won't meet the requisite games. Is that an overreaction from yours truly? And how do you put LeBron's 21 straight All-NBA seasons into perspective?
Do you know what the record is for just All-NBA selections? The second place, he's first with 21. Do you know what the record is for second place of most selections? Not even consecutive, just most selections. He's tied with three guys.
What era are we in for this? Like way back in the day?
Across. Like no. Like it's back in the day. It's more recent. Like it's three guys. It's Tim Duncan, it's Kobe Bryant, and it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They all are tied for second. It's 15. Yeah. So we're talking 6 years. 6 years difference between LeBron, and that's just total. I don't know we're ever going to get a player who plays 21 years again, let alone make the All-NBA 21 straight years. Like this record's never been broken.
Pretty unbelievable. I actually feel like he's somehow become like underappreciated and underrated as his career has gone on, but that can be a story for another time. I feel like everyone who talks NBA on a show and has like a great NBA guest on is contractually obligated to ask this question, so I will. Also fascinated as to your answer. Who's going to win the Eastern Conference and why?
I still think it's the Knicks. I do think it's super disrespectful. Literally everyone I talk to, no one picks the Pistons. They've been the best team in the East all season long. There is something about their offense that makes me not believe, makes a lot of people not believe. It's a lot like Houston's offense last year where it was just get it up on the glass, go get an offensive board, we'll get to the free throw line, we'll get a putback, something good will happen, but let's just get a shot up. And I don't think that's sustainable in the postseason, but they are a great defense, and they're just a really good team that is missing one more offensive creator. I'm not buying the Cleveland thing. Orlando's been super disappointing. You're not getting me to believe in a team with Joel Embiid and Paul George. I don't care how good Tyrese Maxey is. Boston's dangerous, though. Like, Boston's legitimately dangerous.
Do you think Tatum's coming back? Do you think Tatum's coming back?
Absolutely.
Like, no question.
He'll be back. I think no question. No question. Like I bet he's back with anywhere from 8 to 10 games left in the season.
He practiced with the team yesterday. Kind of feels like he's coming back. So I'm guessing, look, this is a stupid thing I'm about to say. Like, I'm sure you factored that in when you still picked the Knicks. But like, really, like, when I say this to you, I'm going to say this now. Jason Tatum's coming back for the Celtics. Maybe let's call it 2 weeks he has to kind of ramp up. And I'm sure like in the first round, we'll see who the Celtics play, but he's not going all out in those games probably. Would you like to amend your choice of my New York Knicks if Jason Tatum might be close to full speed by round 2?
He won't be though. Like this is an Achilles. Like you can come back from it, but the guys who come back successfully from an Achilles injury, they're not good right away. He'll have games, he'll have moments. He's great, but it's the consistency that your body allows. Unless he is just a complete medical marvel when it comes to this, which I guess you leave like a 5% chance of. Like there's just no way he's going to be consistent enough. You're essentially, even though you're giving him a few games to get back to, and I don't even know if those games have back-to-backs in them. He won't play on a back-to-back. Like they're going to have to be very careful with how they bring him back. But then you're dropping him into the intensity of the postseason, asking his body to respond in a way that it's not prepared to. I think he'll be a great boost for them. I think that's a good team. They're well coached. They have great offense. They played really good defense as of late. But Tatum is not going to be Tatum. He's just going to be a really good player, which helps. But that's not going consistently to elite superstar level, which they would need.
Two more for you here. Give me your Western Conference hot take, or just like strong. It doesn't have to be a hot take. A strong take here on the Western Conference as we approach the All-Star break, whatever it may be.
I think the Minnesota Timberwolves get to the conference finals for a third straight year. I think they are so underrated. Oh yeah. They'll lose. Like I think they'll lose to Denver. Like I think that. Like people just.
Okay, so the implication there. Zach, obviously, is that OKC doesn't even make the conference final.
I think Denver probably beats them in the second round. I think Denver's going to be somewhere in that 4 range. They've had so many injuries that they're not going to be in that 2 seed. San Antonio's pretty firmly there. They'll be battling it out with Houston for the 3rd seed. Peyton Watson's out for like a month. Aaron Gordon still has a hamstring issue. Jokic is just getting back. They're not really winning a lot of these games since he's been back because of the non-Jokic minutes. It's still a problem with all their injuries. So I think like they'll be in that like 4 or 5 range. But I think Denver is, and this is if they're healthy in the postseason. If they get healthy by the postseason, I do think that's the best team.
And so you think Denver's going to win the title right now?
Yeah. I think they're gonna get back to it for sure.
So this is not a fair question to ask necessarily because you're not in the minds of these people. But listen, your peers are all people that cover the NBA at a really high level. Do you think that is your opinion? And let's just call it let's take Denver out of the equation. Let's just make this an OKC question. Do you think that it's not going to be OKC. Whatever, field versus OKC, you're taking the field, right? Do you think that is a contrarian opinion right now, or that most people that cover the league agree with that opinion?
I think OKC's, I don't know, I wouldn't say most people carry that opinion, but OKC has been vulnerable enough, and some of that is injuries, but some of it is, for some reason, San Antonio burst that bubble of invincibility. Right. And the Thunder have not gotten back to it. It doesn't mean they can't reach it again, but this has not been the elite team we saw in the first 25 games. They've been good. They do have a lot of blowout victories, but they have a lot of losses that are very confusing as well. And so I would say that unless OKC finds that level again, more people are going to start looking at this and they're like, yeah, the West is really good. And this team doesn't look the way they did. They're champions. They're great defensively. But they're not a good offensive team if Shea's not involved. When he's off the floor, they plummet offensively. Chet's not carrying that. Jalen Williams is not carrying that. I think Jalen Williams can help them get back to that because he's been injured in and out of the lineup this season. But I think OKC has shown more vulnerable than people have noticed. And as you get closer to the playoffs, I think more people will kind of notice that.
Hard 30 seconds for this answer. We've been talking about this all show. Give us a Zach Harper hot food take or embarrassing food take that you have. 30 seconds.
Oh, you know what? Boneless wings are fine. Just call them nuggets. People who are like, oh, boneless wings, that's crap. No, they're delicious. It's chicken. It's fried. It's got a sauce on it. It's exactly what you want out of a meal. Are they as good as bone-in wings? Of course not. But boneless wings are fine. Just call them nuggets and no one would care. People just care that you call them wings. I don't care what you call the food. As long as it's good, that's where we need to be.
This is how much I love having you on the show. I normally don't like having people on that have a better hair-beard combination than I do.
Oh, I would say better.
And yet,
I'm trying to get to that. I'm trying to get to your beard level is amazing. Your hair is amazing. I'm just trying to keep up.
At Talk Hoops, NBA Radio, The Athletic. Stay well, my friend.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
We wrap up the show with bets right after this.
I'm going to do it for two quarterbacks right now that we know did not have a ton of success with the team they were drafted by. And for me, I would say Baker Mayfield is probably number one that stands out. I don't think he seems as unlikely as Darnold, but it would still be a surprise if Baker Mayfield wins the Super Bowl next year. Guy that had, again, went to the playoffs with the Browns, but largely negative when you look at his tenure there with the team that drafted him. And then he went to Carolina. Then he goes to Tampa Bay, and he's been killing it. But, again, to get to his Super Bowl is a whole other conversation. I think Baker's the most likely candidate to do that, somebody that we already see in that arc right now. Somebody else that we're kind of closing, we're nearing that next stage. And I don't know if I really believe in him, but the talent is there, is Kyler Murray, who went to the playoffs with Arizona, looked like an MVP candidate the year that they started out 7-0, and he was balling. And now he's kind of at rock bottom right now for his career. I don't even know what team he's going to end up on next season. I don't think Arizona's keeping him. I don't think there's any chance they're keeping him. And so I got to see what team Kyler Murray ends up on. But we know as much of his shortcomings there are, not a big arm, short. He's got the speed. He's got the talent. We've seen it before. I don't know, man, 5 years from now, Kyler Murray at age like 31, 32 with a great team, great system. I could see it. If we could see Sam Darnold, like we said, I could see it. But for me, it would most likely be Baker Mayfield.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
All right, this was a really, really, really fun show today. Thanks to our guests, 4 of them. Jay Billis from ESPN, Ryan Glassbeagle, Front Office Sports, Zach Harper, NBA Radio and The Athletic, Greg Rosenthal of NFL Media, Bill Zimmerman, our EP, Tyler is our technical director, Kenny Henderson on the board, Downtown Mike Brown, Dan the Man Turner, our video producers. I'm off for the next 2 days. The great Chris Mack will have you covered. Chris thinks there is no form of bacon that's bad. I think floppy bacon is bad. Chris Mack will give you food takes and great sports takes Thursday and Friday here, You Better You Bet, on Westwood One Sports. Black and Abdallah's coming up next. Now time for bets for tonight. Please, Kenny, drop the dope-ass beat. All right, if you're going to be betting on college basketball tonight, you need to do it with our friends at BetMGM, offering you a college basketball odds boost token. Download the BetMGM app, visit BetMGM.com so you can make it legendary. Kenny is 4-0 this week. Betting games on You Better You Bet. Kenny's bet for tonight is Georgia plus 7.5 against Florida. More on that in a second. Tyler Morales with 2 college basketball bets for tonight. Laying 11 with UConn off of UConn's loss on Friday against St. John's. UConn 11 or 11.5 against Butler. And Tyler likes Tennessee on the money line against Mississippi State. Now my bets. Seton Hall is skidding as of late. Providence has won a couple consecutive games. Teams are shooting an unsustainable rate against Seton Hall from downtown. That changes tonight. Give me Shaheen Holloway and Seton Hall -4.5 against Providence. And I'm going to go heads up with Kenny here. Florida the number's out to 9.5. Florida will win by 8 and we'll both lose. Florida -9.5 against Georgia. When Florida plays teams like Bama and Georgia that like to run and get up and down, they blow them out. I think Florida waxes that ass tonight. Florida wins by double digits on the road at Georgia. So Florida and Seton Hall for yours truly. And in the NBA, this Jazz Kings game is actually fascinating that Zach Harper and I were discussing in the last segment. Utah's a 6.5-point favorite at home. Utah is actively trying to lose. Sacramento's just organically bad. Utah beat Miami the other night. I don't know if they're going to lose tonight, but they ain't covering the spread. I'll take the points with Sacramento, and may God have mercy on my soul, the Sacramento Kings +6.5. So Kings +6.5 at Utah, Florida -9.5 at Georgia, Seton Hall laying 4.5 against Providence, and a partridge in a pear tree. I'll see everybody on Monday. Everybody have a great weekend. Chris Mack the next 2 days here on You Better You Bet. Until then, I'm Nick Kostos wishing you minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute very best of luck. Our friends Bleck and Abdallah coming up next on Westwood One Sports.
I'm going to do it for two quarterbacks right now that we know did not have a ton of success with the team they were drafted by. And for me, I would say Baker Mayfield is probably number one that stands out. I don't think he seems as unlikely as Darnold, but it would still be a surprise if Baker Mayfield wins the Super Bowl next year. Guy that had, again, went to the playoffs with the Browns, but largely negative when you look at his tenure there with the team that drafted him. And then he went to Carolina. Then he goes to Tampa Bay, and he's been killing it. But, you know, again, to get to his Super Bowl is a whole other conversation. I think Baker's the most likely candidate to do that, somebody that we already see in that arc right now. Somebody else that we're kind of closing, we're nearing that next stage. And I don't know if I really believe in him, but the talent is there, is Kyler Murray, who went to the playoffs with Arizona, looked like an MVP candidate the year that they started out 7-0, and he was balling. And now he's kind of at rock bottom right now for his career. I don't even know what team he's going to end up on next season. I don't think Arizona's keeping him. I don't think there's any chance they're keeping him. And so I got to see what team Kyler Murray ends up on. But we know as much of his shortcomings there are, not a big arm, short. He's got the speed. He's got the talent. We've seen it before. I don't know, man. 5 years from now, Kyler Murray at age like 31, 32 with a great team, great system. I could see it. If we could see Sam Darnold, like we said, I could see it. But for me, it would most likely be Baker Mayfield.